bargains, right? I mean, we're definitely getting, guys like Acuna at a bargain rate, just coming back from the injury. I picked up DeGrom, I think, in the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational, middle of the second round. And if he stays healthy and he does fine, it's like a crazy steal of the draft. So I don't mind it so much right now.
And that's the thing. When you look at it now, those who are doing best ball drafts for fantasy football, the best ball, the biggest advocates, what is it? Well, you get these guys at values now, and 3 months from now, you'll never get, player X at pick, insert number here. That's the whole thing. You get to see the value now, and you don't have those who wait till after the draft. And it's like, oh, I want to wait and see where this guy goes. Then he goes to this ideal landing spot. And well, now I got to take him in the 4th round versus where I was getting him in the 7th or 8th round. So I just got a hell of a value from where it was. And we see that we're going to see that here with baseball. Like, look, we're guys who are free agents right now. Nelson Cruz, Kyle Schwarber, like Jorge Soler, where they're going in drafts, depending where they sign, good luck getting them where you're getting now. And honestly, good luck even getting them close to where they're going at right now. So we see it here in baseball. We see it more in football, really. But in terms of baseball, there's going to be some values. And even a week from now, maybe even 2 weeks from now, it's going to be like, how the hell did you get that guy there?
We're going to get a lot of those. I love that. Like we do every year. Like it never fails. All right. So as you guys can see the draft board behind me and Colby, or above me and Colby, right up there. Let's talk about what we've seen right now. Let's start first round. Fernando. Well, first off, let's give a shout out to everybody who's in this draft with us, right? Britt Flynn. This is a big fantasy alarm love fest here. We got Britt Flynn, Ani Streeter, who is my producer over at SiriusXM. Your handsome mug is here. Kevin Tompkins. I don't know who at Fat Lou is at Team 5, but welcome. Ryan Kirksey from Fantasy Alarm. He's at Team 6. I'm up there at 7. Nate Markham. We all know Nate. He's Team 8. Ray Kuhn. John Impemba, who's also producing the show. Thanks, Johnny. Appreciate that. Andrew Dewhurst at 11. And then somebody who I don't know over in Team 12 on the other side at Rob Ald McBean or something. I don't know. Anyway, just giving him a little shout out there and thanking everybody for taking time out and showing us the way how to start drafting here. So let's go through it here, Colby. First round: Tatis, Turner, Guerrero, Ramirez, Bichette, Soto. The highest I think that Vladimir Guerrero has gone in this early season right now. Talk to me about not going for the stolen bases of Ramirez or Bichette and not going for a guy like Juan Soto, who, arguably probably one of the best players in the game, one of the best hitters.
Yeah, I'll take Vladdy. I know there's no steals, but when you're looking at like the scoring for BB10s, stolen bases are 5 points, which is pretty good, but I'm going to go with the home runs. You get 6 for the home run. You're talking 2 for the run scored, 2 for the run batted in. So we're going to go points. I'll go ahead and push up power pretty much every pick. So some of these guys like a Whit Merrifield type, who the home run numbers are lower and the stolen base numbers are good. More rotisserie formats, I'm all in on some of these speed guys, but when it comes to points, I want home runs and strikeouts, and I want a lot of both of those.
Home runs and strikeouts and a lot of both of those. Listen, I'm in. Listen, it was so funny because people were like, I was getting some crap last year for taking Vladdy Jr. a little on the early side. So it was great to see him break out. Yeah, I've got no issues with it. I think he's a phenomenal talent there. But I can understand. Obviously, the speed is the big thing for everybody. That's what it is. Everybody wants speed. Everybody needs speed. And the good thing is that you can acquire it in these early rounds. You can do that sort of a lean. We see, although, yeah, really, it's kind of funny. So here you go. Team 5, right? Fat Lou, Bichette, Lewis Robert, back to back. Going to be good stolen base guys. He's got some power there also with Robert, and then he finds it his way with Salvador Perez there behind the plate. What's your thought on taking the cat? Like, I get it. The position sucks overall. It's like worse than the tight end position is in fantasy football. Perez, big dude, great bat. little bit of an injury risk being that big of a guy behind the plate. But obviously, when you factor in, you talk about position scarcity, I can understand why somebody's doing it. So we get stolen bases, and then position scarcity. Do you subscribe to that with the early catcher?
Absolutely. And I mean, even here in this setup for this BB10, I believe you only have to have one catcher that basically count towards the points there. And Perez just provides such an advantage over other catchers at the position. It's like you said, with a tight end in football. I mean, do you want to view Perez as maybe the equivalent or fantasy baseball as Travis Kelce? Essentially, he's a lock for the top spot. Sure, I don't mind taking him that early. For me, I'm probably going to wait just a hair longer for catchers. There's pretty much two that I'm really in on, both in the National League, who will benefit from the universal DH. With that article is coming out on Fantasy Alarm on Saturday, so check that out. But I'm in on two National League catchers.
Why Saturday? I want it now. Give it to me now.
Hey, it's typed up. It's just going through the final edits and everything like that. But I'm more in on two catchers. I'm going to get one of them here, and I look forward to talking about him then.
All right. Okay. I can hold off. All right, so we see Speed being grabbed nice and early here. Juan Soto goes in 6. I take Acuna. I'm hoping that he'll be fine as far as maybe he doesn't run as much, but I still believe in the overall talent here. Ohtani, listen, what he does behind the plate is what he does at the plate has been absolutely fantastic. He steals bases. I think what you're getting from him on the mound, especially if you can move him in and out, it's almost gravy at this point because he is such a strong hitter.
Yeah, and he does everything. He's just so good on whether he's at the plate or throwing two guys who are standing in the batter's box. Got one of the best pitches in baseball with his, I believe it's classified as a splitter. It's just absolutely filthy. Can he stay healthy? And it's very exciting. Just not even in the fantasy realm. It does matter there too, but just for pure baseball fans' sake, now that when the Angels go to a National League park and we don't have to see him on the bench, maybe for a pinch hit appearance, I'm very excited, and that's just overall good for baseball. So I'm fine with Ohtani there early on. He's going to be a guy that, I mean, really the question is, what can't he do? And as long as he stays healthy with how much he does, it's going to be hard for him not to return at the very least break even value, but he'll likely exceed that for sure.
Yeah. All right. I agree there. Back end of that first round, we had Rafael Devers, Bryce Devers. I mean, this is the earliest I've seen him go, but I can't speak out against him. And have you seen how barren third base looks nowadays?
Third base is rough. Third
base
horrible. You better have a plan going in. There's there's times where things pan out. It's like, yeah, I can kind of finagle my way around this. I don't know if you can finagle it around third base. If you have someone you're confident, you better just get them and hope for the best, because that position thins out quick.
Yeah. Oh, I got screwed in the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational. I waited too long, and the next thing you know, the guys were gone. And I was like, I mean, I love Matt Chapman's power, but this dude's batting average has just gotten so bad over the last couple of years that it is a little bit nerve-wracking. Now, while you're making your pick here in round 4, I got to say, I did something that I don't usually do. I don't ever do it anymore. Maybe I did it about 5 or 6 years ago when I was really championing closers, right? But you get burned enough, you see, bullpen committees popping up more and more, and it gets a little worrisome, right? But we're seeing a lot of the high-end closers go super early right now. Like, nobody wants to wait on saves anymore because it has become such a horrible crapshoot. And I haven't done this yet, but I decided I took Josh Hader here in the 4th round. I've got power and speed with Betts and Acuna. I've got good power at the shortstop position in Xander Bogaerts, right? I don't think I'm going to worry about batting average at all. All the big name starting pitching's off the board here. So if I'm going to, possibly wait a little bit on some starting pitching, you get a guy like Hader in there who's doing more than just getting you saves. He's augmenting your strikeouts, and he's helping balance out your ratios a ton. Your thoughts here on the early closer move?
It's something I haven't messed with too much yet. You've seen it with all the TGFBI tweets going out now that there are some people who are like double tapping with Hader and Hendricks early on. It's something I haven't done yet. I am excited to try it out in a best ball soon. There's a lot of closers in that mid tier that I tend to like. And I don't know if it's just that I guess I would technically be considered insane because I continue to do it each year and get burned, and it, well, never really works out, for being honest. But there's a couple guys in that mid tier that I really like. But if I'm going to attack those guys in the mid tier, I got to get one of the big guys. So even if it's not Hader, I find myself getting Raisel Iglesias a lot. I really like what he can do this year in LA. Maybe you get a Hendricks type, but I haven't messed around with two closers early on here. So I'm curious how the build will turn out. I know you only went with Hader here, but depending when your next closer comes, it'll be interesting to see kind of how your team pans out, especially with that start.
I'm kind of surprised to see Team 12 went Hendricks instead of Hader. I'd love to pick his brain on that. Let's pick your brain right now. You are on the clock here. Let's talk us through it here. What do you got? What are you looking at? How are you feeling?
Yep. So one of the catchers that I wanted was going to be JT Realmuto. He went, so now we're kind of looking elsewhere. And there's a lot of bats that I like, and I know that my catcher's not going to make it back to me. So I'm going to take him now. I'm going to push him up over some other bats, but I'm in on Wilson Contreras at worst being a top 4 catcher this year. The Cubs back in 2020, they threw DH appearances at the catcher, whether it was Contreras or his backup Victor Caratini got a hell of a lot of DH at bats that year. So if the Cubs are going to do that, I'm all in on Contreras. Save his body the physical rigors of catching, 4 or 5 times a week. Let him play DH. And as long as they don't add a substantial bat in free agency that'll threaten his DH appearances, I mean, we could be talking career highs across the board from Contreras. So I like him as a top, maybe even top 2, top 3, but at the very least, he's going to be a top 4 catcher this year.
I did hear the Cubbies linked to little Nick Castellanos.
Yep. So that's going to be the biggest worry with Contreras. Hopefully they can stick Castellanos somewhere else. But just let Contreras get the at-bats. And at the very least, David Ross, former catcher, he's going to want to keep his guy in the lineup. Contreras is one of the better bats they have, even if they add an impact bat in free agency. Contreras is one of their better bats. You got to keep him in the lineup.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ryan Kirksey is on the clock right now, and then it's up to me. So now the question is what direction do I go in here? Right. I've got myself, Acuna, Betts, Bogarts. I went with Hader. I'm not going to go behind the plate. I'm not interested in that. It's really kind of a tough, interesting call here. But I think, I can't say it out loud, right? Because Ryan's going to make his pick. I'm really torn here. Do I go in a direction that I've gone? Like, how much do you diversify when you're doing a bunch of these best balls? Or, do you find yourself gravitating towards the same guy? How much are you diversifying?
I think it's a healthy blend, and I think it plays out as the draft goes. Like maybe early on in drafts, I like to diversify, but when you get past the first couple rounds, if there's someone that's, quote unquote, your guy, you get them. So early on, I don't mind diversifying. Maybe if you had 5 best ball drafts and you had that 7th pick, maybe it's Acuna, then maybe it's Soto, maybe Devers a different one. Maybe you try Garrett Cole in that spot. So I think you diversify early on, but as you kind of move back into the draft, if there's someone you're uber confident about, you take them.
Yeah, for a late round grab, absolutely. Because like at a spot right here, right now, I'm probably looking at Eloy Jimenez, right? I mean, I could go into the starting pitching here and grab like a Freddie Peralta, who I like. I definitely do. And I probably should do that given the fact that it's a best ball draft. But I'm still looking at certain situations here, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to go a little crazy. Again, it's not a move that I usually do, but I am diversifying here, and I'm looking out for some multi-position eligibility, some power, but I'm adding some speed here as well. And I'm going to shout it out to my boy Todd Zola when I grab myself Ketel Marte. So a little power speed here with Marte, Acuna, and Betts. What would you have done there in my shoes here? Would you have gone with Eloy? Would you have gone with the pitcher?
Yeah, looking at the team with your start here, Acuna, Betts, Bogarts, Hader, and then you're coming up to that spot. Could have gone with a pitcher, sure. I'm okay with Marte. The other guy I was looking at there was George Springer. I like him atop that
Mhm.
Toronto lineup. So for me, it probably would have been Marte or George Springer. But I did reach out to, I don't even know how you say it, Robald McBang. So that's Ron Rigney. So I asked him why Hendricks
Hey, what's up, Riggs?
over Josh Hader. So basically, his reasoning was he said that perhaps Hader gets moved. You never know, and there's no chance of Liam not closing. So even if he stinks badly, maybe not, but doesn't think that happens. So seems like Ron has more trust in Liam Hendricks than Mr. Josh Hader.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Listen, you kind of, I mean, do you go with that thought process? Like at some point, the wheels are going to fall off the wagon, right? When a guy's been rock solid, and Hader's been fantastic, right? I mean, with the exception of like, you know, well, he didn't get hurt like a couple of years ago. But he's been, such a money in the bank closer for Milwaukee, and he gets the work and he gets it done for fantasy owners. But yeah, you get to a certain point where you're like, are the wheels going to fall off here? And do I go with it or do I not go with it? Listen, I will get screwed royally if Josh Hader gets hurt. Because when you have that impact arm like that and you take him with such a high draft choice, like you're never going to get that production in replacement value once the season starts. Like it's next to impossible.
And with his with his arsenal, I mean, yes, he's going to be a fly ball guy. Sure, home run every now and again, but I mean, good Lord, when you put up 100 plus strikeouts with your eyes closed and one arm tied behind your back like he does each year, he's just so good. And it's and you got to commend too when you look at it with like Ron taking Hendricks over Hader. Is that an unpopular opinion? Probably. But if you believe like that, like don't ever draft just because the average draft position tells you, like in this case, that Jorge Polanco should be going ahead of George Springer. If you think Springer's going to have a big year, you take Springer. That number is basically just collective group think. But if it's your guy, that's your guy. You take him, and really you live and die with it.
You do live and die with it. See, look at this. The world is tempting me right now, right? How is Eloy still on the board right now? Like,
how long is he going to go?
Eloy Jimenez still on the board?
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see if he makes it to pick 70 here, because that would be quite nice if we're being honest.
Yeah, there's zero chance he's falling to you right now.
But now I feel bad because what if Springer and Eloy just made it? And I basically just said, yeah, but for me, there was Marte or Springer. And then Springer's here. And I go, nah, not Springer here. And we go someone else and just completely backtrack on what I said. So I shouldn't do that.
I listen, zero chance Eloy falls to you because I'm just not going to let him. I'm not going to let him go. I'm going to take him. Here's the thing. Like, all right, I think a lot of people forget about the fact. I mean, how good he was, right? How good he plays when he's healthy, right? And you talk about last year, and he tore that pectoral muscle, which was a huge dagger to my heart, all right? And it screwed me because I had him everywhere, right? I was just so in on Eloy Jimenez last year that, it devastated me. But the dude came back more than a month and a half earlier. Like people were like, he's done for the year. Torn pec, he's done. Right. And I even, I mean, listen, it was a very upsetting thing for me in Tout Wars because, you cut a guy who's out for the season and you get a fab rebate. You get a 50% rebate on his price of what you paid for him in the auction. You get that rebated in fab. So I was like, sweet, I'm psyched. Right. I'd be super happy with that. And then he comes back in July and I didn't have the fab to go after him again. And I had to sit there. I know he only hit 243, right? But the dude hit 12 home runs upon his return, had like 37 RBI, was working on getting his timing back. I mean, to me, there were so many great things about Eloy coming back that I'm so surprised that he is falling in drafts this year. I really am.
And it's, I mean, you said it when you look at his return. Yeah, sure, numbers were down across the board. I mean, like you said, the guy came back early from a torn pec. I mean, and you can look at it one of two ways. Oh, all of his numbers are down, came back from injury, yada, yada, yada. Or you can be the optimist and say, yep, he had a pretty significant injury, came back early, still posted a double digit barrel rate, exit velocity above 90 miles an hour, and his max exit velocity was right near past years. So I mean, he came back just fine. He's a whole off season to get healthy. And if this lockout's going to continue, a little extra time, just, to kind of, fire things back up. And I mean, he'll be more than fine and ready to go, but any extra time just to get ready, he's going to be just fine. This is going to be one where maybe a month from now, we're looking and be like, man, I can't believe, like in your case, I got Eloy at pick. I don't even know what number that was now, but you got him there. And in a month from now, where you took Josh Hader, you might have to be taking Eloy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Easily. All right, let's go through it here. I'm waiting for Ani to make his pick. Now, you've gone with 3 starters in Woodruff, Wheeler, and Sale. Talk us through it, man. Where's your mindset at here?
Yep, I'm pretty much going to avoid a middle ground of pitchers, and it looks like the top 4 contribute to your overall score. So I'm going to get me 4 good ones early on, and then I'm going to wait a little bit, and then I'm going to go for some arms a couple rounds later that I tend to like. There's a pitcher on the West Coast who I actually set the minimum pick for in TGFBI, so I'll be excited to push him up this draft as well. So it's really going to be attack to have like a solid 4, and then hope one of these guys that I'm hoping can make that jump in like the middle-ish to later rounds to really just kind of round out the back half of the pitching staff.
All right. And
but no starter here.
Who's it gonna be?
Take JD.
Took JD.
Back-to-back Bostonians.
Back-to-back Bostonians. All right.
That'll make someone particularly happy.
Who in particular?
Some guy who's putting out fire prize picks right now, if I must say, Mr. John Pemba.
John and Pemba. Come on. Yeah, where's his team? Is he look at, oh geez, look at this team. Can we pick apart? Can we talk about the injury risk that we've got here on the John and Pemba squad right now? He's producing, he's not chatting up. So we could say whatever we want about him here, but my Lord, right? Buxton, Alberto Mondesi.
If you got to commend him, you don't get many MVP candidates in round 4. Let's just be honest here.
He's not an MVP candidate.
He's an exceptional talent, absolute steal there in the 4th round. And it's going to be one of those things. If we're not going to get a full 162 game season, what side of the fence are you on? Is the fact that he's maybe somewhat kind of a little bit injury prone going to keep you away from Buxton? Or do you say, hey, if he can just give me 100 games where he stays healthy, puts up an insane year, gets even more MVP votes? Because his contract is very heavily dosed with incentives. So hopefully this year he can stay healthy, and hopefully there's not some chef out there that's out to get him with an overcooked steak.
The overcooked steak. Oh,
that was planted. Lord. I'm telling you, that was staged. That was definitely
listen. Should we have this out again? I mean, I'm more than happy to have this argument out here again with you, Colby. Because you refreshed my memory when you were on the Fantasy Alarm show the other day, right? And I was like, you were like, oh yeah, we debated in Byron Buxton. I was like, oh yeah. I mean, was that debate before or after I was screaming from the rooftops to trade Byron Buxton after the first month of the season?
I believe it was before, because it would have been leading up to the season. If I recall correctly, but I mean, hey, pure talent, injury risk is there, but it's hard to pass him up at that spot.
In the 4th round?
Yep. Hey,
dude, seriously, like, I like to take risks with injuries at times as well, but come on, Buxton has never played the full season, right? He's always hurt. And listen, and I'll credit him. When he's healthy, he's fantastic. He is, but it's his playing style also. So not only does he have these like little brittle bird bones that are hollow, right? And you can just do bink and snap them like that. But on top of that, he plays all out, right? Like he's a dirt dog. He's a gamer. And I love that. Lay out to catch a fly ball. Go up against the wall and hit your back up against it and slam your head and whatever it is. Like I'm all in for that. But if you play that style and you have bird bones that are hollow, then it doesn't gel. So no matter how good you might be, I know you're not going to play. Jim Bowden even just said this story on the Fantasy Alarm Show today, when he was GMing and he was talking to John Shearholtz, who was the GM of the Braves at the time. And I guess Bowden offered him a player, and Shearholtz was like, "No, I'm not interested." And Bowden's like, "Really? You're not interested in a 30 home run bat?" And he's like, "The dude doesn't stay on the field. And we demand that our players stay on the field." Now, obviously, yes, people get hurt and whatever, but like he's not going for that injury prone type guy. So explain to me how the risk is really worth it, especially with your 4th round pick here.
Oh, for sure. And it's probably, if we were able to find that player debate or whatever it was called at that point, it was probably a similar type thing. It's, you are banking on if he stays healthy. And it really comes down to, let me say it this way. You're not against his talent. The talent's undeniable. Everyone sees that. And he's a hell of a defender, to his credit. Now, his biggest strength, or one of his biggest strengths, might also be, kind of ultimately his demise, because that's where he ends up getting hurt. Again, if it's not for a chef that's trying to do it to him. So when he is healthy, he is elite.
You gotta stop blaming the chef and blame these.
Well, he didn't cook the steak.
These hollowed out chiclets that he calls teeth.
Well, then should I go after his dentist and his dental hygienist?
You should go after his family, because it's the genetics. Whoa. They're weak boned genetics that are sailing through. Maybe he should have drank more milk when he was a kid and got some more calcium or something.
I'm not sure, but basically what it comes to with Buxton is, are you paying for the ceiling? Right around there, sure. And in best balls, that's a chance you have to take. Maybe in roto formats, if you let him slip a little bit, you can go for it. But in best balls, I have no problem even that early taking you can argue how big the risk is, but I'm comfortable with it there.
So in a best ball format, it's just a go for broke strategy.
Well, in a best ball format, 4th and 12th are no different.
You got it. You're on a pick. Wait, let's hear it. Talk us through. You went bat. I thought you were going to go arm at first, but you went bat with JD. What are you taking?
Yep. So I need one more top starter, I think, is what I'm going to do with my next pick. But with this pick, I missed out on him in the TGFBI, and I'm a little miffed by it, to say the least. But let's buy into a bounce back. Let's go with Christian Yelich. I think I like this price point for him. I'm comfortable with it. Outfielder, let's throw him in there and just hopefully just gets the ball in the air. I know they said that there was, I think it was a shoulder last year that didn't exactly, it wasn't a thing, but it was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. Just please get the ball back in the air. Don't hit the ball on the ground. And this is a really nice price point for Yelich.
Yeah, back holds up and you're psyched, right? Like that's really what it comes down to. If his back holds up, then it's a phenomenal pick. I mean, you're talking about a 1st round talent that you're getting in the 8th round now, as a result. So I could dig that. I could definitely dig that. So you're going some risk reward here as well, with that, because nobody cares who finishes 2nd place, right? You want to go for broke here. And if you're going to be in, a draft, this one, not here. Big shout out, by the way, to our friends at the NFBC here in the BB10s. Greg Ambrosius was a huge help in getting these series of drafts going that we're doing here. So I want to definitely give a shout out to them and the NFBC. And this is the format in which we're playing here. So the risk, I mean, listen, I'm perfectly fine taking risk. Again, Buxton's a bit much for me. And I'm happier. Yeah. I'm happier with Alberto Mondesi in the 5th round, knowing that stolen bases are at such a huge premium.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to say, no, I won't touch Mondesi for basically the same reasons that I'm going to touch Buxton at that point. But Yeah, I get it. I wrote up the when to draft speed article for Fantasy Alarm with Mondesi, and
Mhm.
just you can win stolen bases without Mondesi. Is it a little bit tougher? Sure. And if Mondesi gets hurt, obviously it's like the same argument with Buxton, but like when you look at Mondesi, like Tommy Edman just went, and like he's a guy where if I don't get Mondesi, I am cool with a couple rounds later taking Tommy Edman. And you don't need guys that steal 40, 50, 60 bags to win the stolen base category. You can accumulate them, maybe get a guy or two in the mid rounds that's basically for that, and still do quite fine in that category.
So you're taking Miles Straw right now with your pick, is what you're saying?
I queued him up, but not right now. No, I'm looking here like Cody Bellinger, another first round fantasy guy, but there's like there's some holes in his swing. I'm a little weary of him and how he moved into kind of almost like a platoon-esque role last year. I haven't done this, so let's try it. I'm a little worried about him kind of holding on to the gig long term. But let's go Ryan Presley. Let's get a second closer. I'm sorry, a first closer. I didn't take one in this one. I get so excited when I see Raisel Iglesias. I just assume that I took him. But no, I'm okay with Presley. There is some concerns. Like they gave Hector Neris a good chunk of money, and a change of scenery I think will be good for him. But at least at the beginning of the year, Presley is going to be the guy, and he's a more than adequate option in the back end of games.
Alek Manoah goes off the board to Kevin Tompkins. That's a huge bummer for me. I was gonna go with Manoah and just double tap those Toronto starters. Now I got to figure out which way I'm going to go. I'll tell you what, man. I keep waiting too long on third base.
Mm-hmm.
I keep waiting too long because Rendon and LeMahieu. Right over there. I think the pitching was obviously more important, but third base is going to be my Achilles heel. For years and years and years, I've been known to it's the power hitting third baseman that I've just the rookie power hitting third baseman. Like those are the guys who I've continuously gone after. Who am I taking now? Who am I taking now? I don't want to take Luis Castillo. I don't want to take Charlie Morton. I'm just kind of going down the list here. I'll tell you what, I do need another starter here, so I'm going to make the move. And this might be a little bit of a reach, but I actually believe that Ian Anderson is going to have himself a phenomenal year this year with the Braves, right? Like, I mean, it was good to see him, what he did last year. They won the World Series. You can talk about a World Series hangover, whatever, but when you're an up and comer like Ian Anderson is, like you want to show everybody that you are there to plateau. You're or to get better. You're not even there for that. You're not there to plateau. You're there to get better. And I think Ian Anderson is that type of guy who on the mound is just going to continue to make the improvements and the proper adjustments. At least that's what I'm talking myself into right now.
Well, he's only 23. I mean, he turns 24. He's younger than me. Just throwing that out there.
You throw that out there like you're some like spring chicken, Colby.
No, far from it. I'm exiting my theoretical prime based on what some would say. But no, Anderson, I like him a lot too. He started talking into it and I was like, oh, is he going to take Verlander? But no, I like Ian Anderson there. Good upside arm. And sure, maybe last year strikeouts under a strikeout per inning, but I mean, he's shown at times that he can easily strike out over a batter an inning. He did it back in a phenomenal 2020, even though it was only a handful of starts, but the upside's there with Anderson. And hey, in best balls, it's all about upside, baby.
In best balls, it is all about upside. Definitely. Let me see. The rest of the crew is going a little pitcher run there. A lot of pitchers taken in this round here. McClanahan, I'm actually a big fan of that pick from John Impemba. I actually really like Shane McClanahan. There's also another pitcher on that team who I'm definitely eyeballing, but I don't know if I can wait any longer for another third baseman, because if any more third basemen come off the board right now, I'm screwed. I'm back at Matt Chapman batting 220.
Hey, I mean, at least there's home runs there, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've got Acuna and Betts and Bogarts, even Eloy is a good solid batting average. So taking a guy like Chapman hurts, but it doesn't hurt as much when you got a bunch of guys like that.
And I mean, he's at least shown too, if he gets on a nice little hot streak, he can add some points for you and leave the yard with frequency. It's just third base, gosh, it thins out quick. And like, I mean, it's hard to even say guys that I like, but once you get past about Brian Hayes is probably the last one where I feel like, all right, I think we're okay here at third base. And after that, it's like, all right, Josh Donaldson, please stay healthy. Candelario, please hit for a good average. Toro, please, just kind of do it across the board. And yeah, and then like, can Wisdom continue to hit home runs with a role in Chicago? The Josh Jung injury really hurts, but third base, boy, it's thin to begin with, and then it also thins out quick.
Yeah, what I wouldn't give to see like Cody Bellinger have third base eligibility or something, right? I mean, listen, I'm looking at this one right now, and unless Nate, who's could be listening in, unless he takes Moncada, right? Then I mean, it's either going to be Moncada or Brian Hayes for me here. Like I have to, I can't punt the position anymore. Like this is going to be a frustrating thing for me, and like that's a tough thing when you do like a whole series of drafts and stuff, and you start watching where your own like shortcomings are in your drafts when you're looking at it. And then you're like, all right, well now I got to fight against it. But if I fight against it, I've got to, I've got to change certain beliefs. And I don't necessarily know if I want to do that.
And it's the positional scarcity argument. Like, are there guys who are probably better than the third baseman that you're going to take? Sure. But except the drop off is much steeper at third base. And honestly, whichever one between Moncada and Hayes you didn't take is the one that I am probably going to take here at 118 anyway. So thank you for leaving Hayes for me. He was the one I truly wanted. If we're going to be 100% honest.
Hey man, I heard Moncada is like, he's off the refined sugar. I think he's off the fast food. I think he's going to be good to go.
Hey, good for him. I had McDonald's the other day for the first time in a while.
My God, could I go for McDonald's right now in just the absolute most unbelievable way?
I mean, I'll tell you, like we moved south a couple years ago, and like we have like Bojangles down here, and I fancy a good Bojangles, but every now and then just reverting back to the old high school days of a bacon McDouble or two and a medium French fry. It's something, I don't know if it's just that it's good or if it's just the nostalgia that makes it good, but can't beat it.
It's a combination of everything. They also probably put something in there that like triggers like some chemical in your brain to make you really, really want McDonald's. But
well, if Moncada struggles, then it might be time to get back to the McDonald's because why not?
I just got a message here from John and Pema. McDonald's breakfast is the 1-1 of drafting breakfast. Listen, 100%, absolute 100% there. The question is though, is that, what breakfast are you going for? Like, I'll do McGriddles and McMuffins and biscuits and all that, the breakfast sandwiches. But if I'm not really into getting like the big breakfast, right? The two pancakes with the weird scrambled eggs in there, like that. Yeah. If I'm getting pancakes, I'm junking it at IHOP.
I'll tell you, when it comes to McDonald's breakfast, it all starts the night before. It's one of those, fail to prepare to fail. You get basically you're hungover the next morning, and then you go to McDonald's. You get a black coffee. Don't put any sugar, no cream. Drink it black. You get a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, and then you get the 3 hot cakes. You ask for an extra packet of syrup, 2 hash browns, and by maybe 11:30, you're okay. You're not good, but you're okay.
All right.
That's wise wisdom.
I will never argue against it. And you know what? Whoever the monster was that decided, hey, forget the biscuits or the English muffin. Let's put it between pancakes and find a way to get like syrup inside the pancake. And that's the bread to your sandwich. That person, I mean, not only deserves like the Nobel Prize for gluttony, but, should also be killed for coming up with something so yummy delish.
It's a blessing and a curse. That's the easiest way to describe it. I haven't had one of them in a long time though.
I have not done a McDonald's breakfast in forever. in
So it's-
forever.
Sounds like it's too
I've
long.
taken Chris Taylor in drafts more recently than I've had a McDonald's breakfast.
I'm gonna have to agree. I don't have any McDonald's on me right now, so I'm gonna have to say my most recent share of Chris Taylor is more recent than my last McGriddle experience.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, because you look at the Dodgers depth chart, right? And Chris Taylor, he's always a guy who I feel like he's always the fourth outfielder or the extra the extra infielder, the utility guy. Because I genuinely believe that if Gavin Lux was given the ability to just play on a regular basis, I feel like Gavin Lux could take over that second base job. It's one of the reasons why I always hesitate from Chris Taylor. He always finds his way into the lineup. Don't get me wrong. He always finds his way in. But he always he does feel like he's always either the fourth outfielder or the utility infielder. And then there's always something in me that like worries about his at bats and where they're going to come from.
I guess the upside here is that with the universal DH being implemented, if Gavin Lux is going to be their DH, that's one less guy that's going to steal into Taylor's at bats, or at least innings in the field at the very least, which will obviously affect his at bats. So there should be enough for Taylor to go around. And like you said, regardless of what happens, somehow he's always in the lineup. He always finds his way on the card. He's going to be just fine. I think he's got second base eligibility, which is what my team really needed. But you look the past, throw 2020 out the window. He's hit 250 plus each year, double digit homers and right around double digit steals, really does it all. At bats could be a question, but the DH, which is going to be Gavin Lux, Taylor is going to play pretty much every day across that infield. And Justin Turner's no spring chicken, so you never know what can happen there. So I'm okay with Taylor. I get some of the concern with it, but like you said, he always finds his way into the lineup.
He does. It's crazy. All right, so I went with Shane Baz. Here's a kid who I do worry about how many innings he throws this year overall. I love the stuff. I mean, real live arm here. I sadly, I love to invest in Tampa Bay pitching, right? Their scouts have been absolutely amazing with it. Baz and McClanahan, I think this year are going to be a fantastic duo for the Rays. He comes in here as my third starter behind Kevin Gausman and Ian Anderson. Again, I feel really good about the fact that I've got these three starters. I've got two of the top closers in Hader and Iglesias, and I can kind of now go back to some offense, or at least feel good about going back to some offense here and build it up. But I've got the speed. So now it's like, now I got to find these like mid-round schlubs who just, who hit for power.
And it's the Rays pitching staff is always interesting because you never want to watch it live, because come the fifth inning, you're going to get upset when inevitably they get pulled. But when you look at Baz from last year, we're talking 78, 91. Quick math says 92 innings last year. Say they give him 30 to 40 because you don't want to jump up a young arm too much. 130 innings from Shane Baz. Combine that with like Hader's workload or Iglesias, you got a 200 inning arm, and both of the combination of that elite strikeout numbers, dare I say. So that's a nice little combination there. And two elite closers will definitely help you if you're going to take some of these arms. If you have any legitimate innings concern with them, the elite closers with their innings and their strikeout numbers easily make up for any shortcomings that the younger arms put forth in the innings department.
Indeed. Now, where am I going to go? Where should I go with this next pick here, Colby? I've got a couple of guys who I'm looking at who I feel pretty good about. If you were me, tell me which direction you would head.
Well, you already got one part of the trade that the Rays lost that they made with the Pirates when they gave up Chris Archer. What about another one with Austin Meadows? Buy into the power numbers and hope the average jumps back up.
And I love Austin Meadows, and I was all in on him last year. And I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at Dylan Carlson as the other option here. If I'm going to go with an outfield bat, I think that's kind of the direction that I was really eyeballing here. I could also, theoretically go behind the plate if I'm a little worried. And I do see it is it one? It is one catcher or two catcher?
One.
It's only one catcher. Decisions. Well, then I'm gonna make that move here, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna reinvest and hope that the average comes back up. Now, this could see. There you go. You know what? I just realized. I was like, as I'm making the pick, I was like, wait, did I take Chapman? Oh shit! No, I didn't take him. All right, good. So I can afford a little batting average woefulness here if Austin Meadows doesn't turn it back up, but I do think he does. Not crazy. Just give me give me 260 or better, and I'm happy. I think we're really at that point.
And I mean, that's fine, especially if he gets to 30 home runs too. You can live with the 260 batting average, and he should be just fine. The one thing with him, I hate to be a pessimist.
Yeah. See, you tell me to take him, and now you've got like the. Let me tell you why.
I was going to take him. The thing with Meadows is I think his days of running are probably done. We're not going to get double-digit steals. His days of running are done.
Yes.
It's kind of a shame at just 26, turning 27 this year in terms of that. But, 4 steals last year, 2 back in 2020. But there's enough there in that bat. If the stolen base numbers aren't going to rebound, but I mean, back in 18 and 19, he hit 287 and 291. And that you're not asking for the world here. I mean, now in your clubhouse, he'll probably hit 255, 260, and that would be great. And we'll have to see what he does. But I'm in on Meadows 260 and 30 bombs this year. That's easily in the realm of possibilities.
Wait, why does he only hit 250, 255 in my clubhouse?
Hey, you got to look internal for that. I think in the right locker room, maybe with, in my team at pick 142, he would have looked good, but I just wanted to give you my honest opinion there.
I don't really, I'm feeling a little dishonesty here. I am. It's like, no, I forget we're competing here in this fastball, and you don't want to, give me any extra ammunition. All right, let's see. Ooh, it's your pick. Where are you going here? Let's see. Oh, don't take that guy.
You want him?
No. I don't think anybody should draft him. Let's see. I mean, he's in your queue, so you tell me.
I do have someone in my queue, but we do need. Looking at it here, this one hurts. But let's hope for the best. Can Gleyber bounce back?
That's a question. Very, very interesting question.
That's the big question.
That is definitely an interesting question. I mean, as a Yankees fan, I would love to see Gleyber make it back, right? I would love to see him return to form.
And it's the power numbers weren't there, but I mean, he ran a little bit last year. Maybe he keeps that. He's still young, and batting average is fine. If that power returns, I don't even care if his stolen base numbers drop to 7, 8. I don't even care about that. Give me the Meadows, the 260 with 25 to 30 home runs. I'm okay with it. And you never know with kind of what they'll do. He might work his way around in the season, but he's coming into it with shortstop eligibility. Say he gets a couple appearances at second, and God willing, maybe they'll let him play third just so that he can help out my best ball team here at third base and everybody's fantasy teams at third base. That won't happen, but he might find his way into multi-positional eligibility in best ball formats. That's kind of really nice to look for.
Multi-position eligibility you've got him bouncing all over the place here right now. So I'll say this, it's like my great granddaddy always used to say, Colby, you can wish in one hand and crap in the other. See which one fills up first.
Hey, my grandpa said that, and he used an expletive instead of crap. So
did mine, but I'm trying to keep it PG for the kids at home here, Colby.
Funny how that one carries on. My wife and I were talking the other day about something, and I said that, and she was like, "Where did you get that?" And I was like, "How have you not heard that?"
Right? My wife says that it's, she's like, you way overuse it. I'm like, way overuse it? I'm not allowed to say it on the air. Like, how can I way overuse it? She just doesn't like it because she knows it's true.
Or stop putting me in situations where that analogy works.
Well, I mean, we could sit here for hours on end right now and start talking about, what marriage and having the wife and all the other stuff, but you're engaged. So I don't want to, are you married?
No,
you're married.
I'm fully in it.
You are, you tied the knot.
Yeah, I got my ring here with the Texans logo on it.
with the Texans look.
Hey,
The irony of a wedding band with a Texans look.
hey, we both had non-negotiables,
You both had non-negotiables.
and this was the hill I chose to die on.
Very interesting hill to die on. I don't necessarily know how I feel about that, but I mean, listen, you're destined to lose many an argument to your wife. So I mean, take them while you can.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
Oh man. All right. So 13 rounds into this bad boy here. We are almost at the halfway point. This is a long draft here. Holy cow. Did we say that we were actually live stream this whole draft?
Hey, we're not moving too bad. About an
Ready for a
hour, almost
nap.
halfway
I don't know,
through.
man. I think, oh, what time is it right now? Oh, I'm so tired.
I have to text my wife and ask if she'll bring another beer in. I didn't think. I thought
Oh, look at that. All
I know.
right, you're on the clock, dude. So you've got Gleiber, you've got Taylor, you've got Brian Hayes, Yelich, Martinez, Starling Marte make up your outfield. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at first. You got Woodruff, Wheeler, Sale, and Presley. I'm on the edge of my seat.
I don't know if he'll make it back. Let's risk it. I think he might. Let's see. Really need an arm, but that's no fun. Don't want a third baseman. How about looking at it here? Again, let's go with some upside and hope that a hot streak can persist, but we'll go with Adolis Garcia.
Interesting pick. Because I'll tell you what, man. Break him down for me a little bit here, because it kind of came from nowhere last year, right? I mean, we were really like, holy crap, where did he come from? It's an interesting case. When a guy has a career year, I tend to back off from him the following season because, it's like, it's like taking Cooper Kupp in fantasy football, right? I'm trading him in Dynasty right now because he's never going to repeat what he did. And his value has never been higher here. So talk to me about what you think about Garcia moving forward this season.
And I get that argument because I said it yesterday on XM with Marcus Semien. When a guy has a year full of career bests, the next year doesn't have many more career bests. It's hard to best your best, for a lack of other terms. But I mean, Garcia was excellent through the first half of the year, and in the second half, yeah, he struggled. But I'm going to buy into what he did in the first half of the year, and hopefully, some of the improvements that the Texas offense has made with the additions of Semien and Seager can kind of help him out a little bit. And when you look at some of his numbers, it really comes down to, do you buy into what he did in the first half, or does recency bias in the second half numbers are going to scare you away? And in a best ball format, I'm just going to buy into the first half there. It's not like the strikeouts went up too much. His BABIP dropped a good bit. So maybe if that's a little bit closer, or just even somewhere to the mean, we kind of get a level ground between the first and second half. And I think that's more than enough. Even you look at let me say it this way. You look at his numbers last year, very solid, and hitting 31 bombs, stealing 16 bags. Even if he regresses a little bit and the batting average remains the same at this point in the draft, 240-ish, 25 bombs and 10 stolen bases, I'm okay with it. Better, and a better supporting cast around him can help those counting stats as well. So at this point, we're almost entering that territory where you just need a reason to draft somebody. You're buying into something that's going to give you some hope. Obviously, at this point, we can pick a negative with anybody at this point. So let's chase upside, and 25 and 10 this year is easily possible for Adolis.
I'm chasing upside in a major way here. Went with Adley Rutschman behind the plate for myself here in round 13. I mean, I love the kid, right? I know the kid's going to hit. Is he going to hit this year? I don't really see the dimensions changing in Camden Yards to really be a deterrent from him, because I think he hits for power wherever he goes or wherever he has to play. But the rookie catcher, it's definitely a risky business here. But again, if you're looking for somebody behind the plate with upside, I mean, the rest of the catching department here, Oh, you don't have a catcher yet, right? So look at this.
Oh,
Right?
I got Contreras.
Oh, you did get Contreras. That's right.
I
So
don't
yeah,
miss
look
out
at
on
this.
him.
Look at this bottom feeding crew here, right? Zanino, Diarno, Garver, Vasquez. Oh, we could try Gary Sanchez. What a miserable failure that's been. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to a certain point where you're just like, screw it, gotta grab this guy.
And I mean, with Rutschman too, I mean, I know we like to knock, maybe not we, but I know many like to knock the Orioles. But I mean, that top half of the order isn't horrible. There's enough pop there to get on base. So when Rutschman, cracks the lineup, and looking at the lineup, at the very least, he's got to hit sixth, if not fifth. He's got to hit there. But guys like Mancini, Mountcastle, Santander ahead of him, and some guy named Cedric Mullins, who's very good at this game of baseball. There's enough guys to get on base there to really make Rutschman interesting once he does crack that lineup. And for the Orioles' sake, it better be sooner rather than later.
I was going to ask you what you thought of Cedric Mullins here. I was all in on him last year, and again, here we come in the follow up year. And it's not that I haven't drafted him. The thing about it is that a guy like Mullins, is he going to plateau in the spot that he's at, or is he going to regress? Statistically, I mean, 30-30 is a phenomenal. I would kill for a 30-30 guy. Is he consistent? Can he be consistent as a 30-30 guy? Here taking him in the in round 3. I'm actually surprised he fell all the way to the end of round 3. That, doesn't really happen that often. I worry about whether or not there's going to be the consistency there, and taking him in the 3rd round, even the last pick of the 3rd round, you're paying for what he did last year. I don't think, he's got to repeat last year in order to really return value here for you.
I don't have many shares of Mullins myself. So really it comes down to, he's going to be is he your cup of tea? Is he your personal preference when it comes to that spot? Do you buy into the repeat? If you don't, you're probably not going to be drafting him at that price point. And that's really what it comes down to. Do I think he can do it again? I'm a little skeptical. I don't think he'll be far off. There's enough there. And as long as he stays healthy, I mean, he logged 159 games last year. As long as he stays healthy with a little bit of regression, perhaps. I mean, his BABIP last year was only 322. So it's not like he benefited off a 380 BABIP or anything crazy like that. It was pretty reasonable. So I think there's going to be a slight regression. I think this year's probably more 25-25, which is still pretty good overall. And where you're drafting him, that's still more than fine. But he's personally not my kind of cup of tea there in that third round range.
Yeah, it's again, it's one of those situations that you look and you're like, do I take him? Do I not take him? Kind of thing. And are we taking him too high? Are we paying for last year? And I think 100%. I feel like we are. It's the same. I've never been a huge Teoscar Hernandez fan, and I feel like he's kind of in that same realm there. Oh, it's my pick. It's my pick, Colby. Why'd you tell me it's my pick?
Hey.
Be like, Bender, you blithering idiot. Stop talking and make a pick.
I mean, what are you thinking here? We're looking at your team. We got most of your positions seem kind of accounted for. Another pitcher, maybe?
I was
another
thinking
catcher.
about a pitcher. Yeah, I was thinking about a pitcher. I've already taken that catcher. I'm looking at the arms. I mean, it's really kind of funny when you look at the arms and who's available. I'm going to take a guy. Yeah, I'm just going to do it. I was a huge fan of his last year.
Oh, no.
And I'm going to take him again this season because I think here in year 2, he builds off of what we saw last year. Give me Logan Gilbert. Did that hurt?
Yeah, that hurt.
Did that hurt? Are you okay?
He was the one I set the minimum pick on in TGFBI.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that. Are you okay? Do you need a hug?
No, I think my internet's getting a little spotty. Is it coming in a little not clear?
Like your paycheck? Yeah.
Oh, that one hurt. I was
really,
so excited
Logan
to talk
Gilbert
about him
hurt.
too.
Oh, I feel
so
good about that.
It's just all the talk about him. I really like him a lot. I mean, 120 innings last year, right around there. 150 innings, strikeout over a batter per inning. That ERA is going to come down. Yeah. I want to be excited. I want to be excited for you, but I can't. Call me selfish.
What if I told you that this was not I mean, listen, this was an unintentional swipe. What if I told you that there was an intentional swipe at you earlier in the draft? Like a player was taken specifically because we knew you wanted him.
I'm interested. I'm interested. I'm intrigued now.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back to our Byron Buxton conversation there. What if I told you that Impemba took Buxton specifically just to screw with you?
Hey,
Does it hurt?
His fantasy team will benefit. It's hard to blame him.
It doesn't hurt your feelings at all?
I mean, we're 10 rounds past. I'm over it. By round 24, I'll be over. Actually, I won't be over the Gilbert pick by round 24.
Oh, really? Maybe. So the Gilbert pick hurts more than the Buxton pick?
I think so, because where I'm getting Gilbert, there's the room for profit is immense with Gilbert, because I'm very confident that he is going to excel this season.
Well, then that's absolutely outstanding. That's outstanding.
That.
All right, now who are you going to take now?
Well, I don't know. Now the queue's empty. That's a whole thing.
Now that Logan Gilbert's off the board, where are you going to go?
Gilbert was in the queue in round 5.
Oh, I'm totally not sorry.
You shouldn't be. No. For being honest,
dude, I got to tell you, man, I really love my arms here. Logan Gilbert, Shane Baz, Ian Anderson, Kevin Gausman. I hate Gausman. In secret, I do. I hate Kevin Gausman.
Yeah, I'm worried.
And I think he'll be a bust.
Let's see.
But I took that idiot anyway. I don't know why. I'm stupid.
Let's go with Colton.
Oh, no way. That was my next pick.
I mean, if only there were trades in best ball, but
no, that was so. How underrated is Colton Wong in that Milwaukee lineup? The dude steals bases. He hits double-digit home runs, steals double-digit bases. Everybody forgets about him. Here he's in the 14th round. I genuinely have him queued up. Like, I mean, it doesn't hurt me the way apparently Logan Gilbert hurts you.
True.
But I guess this is my fantasy karma coming back and biting me in the ass.
I think so. I mean, I guess I'll answer your question. I'll guess your comment with a question. I mean, what did he do wrong last year? 14 bombs, 12 stolen bases, 272 average over 162 or 116 games. I don't know what he did wrong. And you look at some of the numbers, 305 BABIP, only slightly above his career total. I mean, he's going to get better. He's going to be fine this year. So I don't know what he did to deserve this shame to get into the 14th round, but I will, if I can't have Logan Gilbert, Colton Wong is a good consolation prize.
Colton Wong's a very good consolation prize. I like it for you. I do. I like that pick a lot. I had him queued up. All right. I'm looking over here and over on the on team 11 side here, Andrew Dewhurst, who might be watching a little bit too much hockey while he's making these draft picks because 3 shortstops. It's 4 third basemen, but obviously Chris Bryant will qualify in the outfield. Ryan McMahon can qualify over at second base. Does Eduardo Escobar qualify at short too? I don't think he does, though. I don't know.
Yeah, I want to say it's one of the other bases he qualifies at. So he's got a couple guys there that kind of slide around, which will help out there. And I'm very interested here. I'm doing a quick look at the board here. I don't think nobody has 2 catchers yet. Now, your 1 catcher counts to your overall score. So it'll be very interesting to see when people start looking at a second catcher, maybe if at all. But I mean, you want to make sure you have points there, and God forbid anything happens. It's that second catcher conversation is always interesting. It's whenever you need it. That's always a very interesting conversation about, like in TGFBI, I almost double tapped with catcher and came with like Wilson Contreras and Yasmani Grandal and said, you know what, I'm done messing around with catcher throughout the year. Give me these 2. They're playing every week for me and we move on. So like, I'm going to get a second catcher here at some point. It's just a matter of who and when.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with the second catcher at this point. Were you trying to like sway me towards the second catcher here already?
I should have done a better job at it before your last pick, apparently.
Yeah, that wasn't a great thing. I gotta find Decisions. I got to tell you, man, I really like the kid. I think he develops a little bit more from where he was last year. I love, obviously, the multi-position eligibility where he qualifies at second, short, and the outfield. I think big things are coming from Josh Rojas.
I don't mind it. I had him a couple leagues last year and that panned out well. And I'm trying to remember back to writing of the value vault for Fantasy Alarm last year. I believe, I want to say it was, I think he had pretty good, he was good against lefties. He had reverse splits, it looks like. And I used him a good bit in the value vault there. So I like Rojas in the Arizona lineup. There's enough there to help him with his counting stats, and he plays literally everywhere. So depending on if he can gain eligibility or not, where you have him now at just second base might not be where he ends the year with.
Wait, who? What?
Rojas. Second,
third, and outfield, baby. He qualifies everywhere.
Yeah, I'm looking here at some of his games everywhere. So yeah. We talked about it with positional eligibility, especially in best ball. I mean, do you think it's perhaps more important in best ball? I know you're not setting your lineup weekly and you're kind of rolling with it, but God forbid, like looking at your team here, prior to, well, you didn't really have a second baseman, so Rojas will probably slide in there. But if you had a second baseman,
Ketel Marte.
There it is. All right. So if anything happens with Marte, this thing pops up and it covers my screen when someone makes a pick. But like I really do think the multi-positional eligibility in best ball formats, is it maybe more important than in regular formats where you're setting your lineup weekly? Perhaps
100%. I'm definitely about that. And listen, I mean, when you talk about like even in seasonal daily roster moves versus weekly roster moves in the daily league, having guys with multi-position eligibility, it's one of the reasons why Javi Baez, I mean, he's been, oh, look at that. Rigney just took Miles Straw. I was a guy who I was looking at being like, how is this dude still on the board right now? Everybody needs stolen bases. How is he still on the board?
Yep.
Well, there he goes. Now he's off. So he's not coming back to me there. But yes, I agree with your point here on multi-position eligibility. And I love getting those guys, especially. Hey, let me ask you a question here. How does it work when you're doing best ball and none of your pitchers pitch on a day? Well, all but one pitchers pitch that day. And that pitcher gets absolutely shellacked. Does the computer say, well, we go with the guy who's got stats? Or does the computer realize this dude's numbers look atrocious in comparison to just a 0 for the day?
My thought was it kind of went over the whole year. That was my point. Because I'm looking here and I'm at all my leagues here that I have here. It's like overall rank, and league points. So I'm assuming you're playing the whole game, but it'll basically add in. So if you have pitchers that are in there and something happens, they get a negative. If that pushes that next pitcher up into your top 4 for better, for better or for worse, and that becomes kind of how it happens. Then you just have this intermingling and flip flopping of pitchers throughout the year, depending on when they make their starts or not. That's how I understand it. So I'm drafting pitchers for that. And hopefully it's not like where it just takes your, starters with stats on a given day. My assumption is at the end of the year, it's going to look. And if in my case, Sonny Gray outscores Chris Sale due to an injury to the lefty, then Sonny Gray is one of my 4 pitchers that counts towards my overall team score.
I feel like I'm going to have to dive deeper into it. It's just an interesting thought there. Yeah.
Well, Logan Gilbert won't give you any negatives, so you don't got to worry about that.
Logan Gilbert's not the guy I'm worried about here. I'm just, just kind of, throwing out. Why should I be? Let's look at some guys who are still on the board right now. Maybe some people find it a little surprising. Nelson Cruz still on the board. What do you think? The old man, like every year we say the exact same thing about Nelson Cruz, right? We're like, dude's, he's 137 years old, right? I mean, how much is left in the tank? Are you not buying on him or what?
I am, and I'm not really even worried about the landing spot. I think for best ball, my concern is here that he's stuck at utility, and with any other guy on my roster, if they're not my top scoring X player, they could be that second best, hitter overall on my team, and they slide into that utility spot. Whereas if Cruz is out hit by one of my other backup bats, he has no other option in the lineup. So if he has a good year, but it gets overshadowed by, well, looking at my team here, depending on where I have two of one particular guy, let's see. So I have like Chris Taylor and Colton Wong. Let's say Colton Wong were to outscore Nelson Cruz this year. If Colton Wong is that next best hitter, he's going to move into my utility spot, and Nelson Cruz literally only has one spot to impact my lineup. So my guess would be that is why he is slipping here in terms of this best ball draft. Because I mean, like you said, each year, all he does is hit home runs, 37, 41, and 32 the last 3 full years. So, and it doesn't matter where he goes. He's going to be just fine. He's going to hit 30 plus home runs. And if he's going to do that, he should, in theory, crack your best ball lineup. But it's just, he only has one spot to go. That's the only place he can make your lineup, because wherever he goes, I highly doubt they're going to put I don't want to say his corpse in the outfield, but his body out in the outfield.
Hey, come on now.
Hey, I mean, he's barely played any defensive work in the past like half decade.
I don't think you want him playing defense, right? I don't think you want him shagging. You want Nelson Cruz shagging. I mean, maybe at first base, right? Isn't that what it was great, right? For the National League, you take your dumpiest guy and you just stick him at first base. And you let him play over there.
Yep.
Oh, is it your pick?
It is.
Where are you going?
I think the move here, my pitcher, I can wait on him. I think let's go with Eddie Rosario. I think he's going to be the move here. It gives me a fifth outfielder, another good option there. So I like him a lot. I think there's enough talent there. And even if the numbers aren't incredibly overwhelming, he did enough last year across the board that if I were to have any injuries, he would slot right in. And I mean, he's a damn good baseball player.
He is definitely a damn good baseball player. Yeah, I don't really worry too much about the landing spot for Rosario either.
And he shouldn't be. He's more than fine. He'll be good. We'll see where he lands, and who knows it. And at this point, again, if he goes somewhere with a bad hitter's park, that's fine. Who cares? Fifth outfielder. We're kind of just shooting for upside here anyway. And he's had some good years in the past, so I don't really care. And if he goes to a great landing spot, great. Maybe he cracks that and becomes, maybe the utility bat on this team or something like that. So I'll buy into the fact a couple big home run seasons with 32 back in 2019 and only 14 last year, but good enough batting average as a little bit across the board. So we'll buy into that.
All right, let's as we're making our way, we just finished round 16. As we'll let it come back to you. You'll make your pick. And then while it's moving through and I got to make my pick, let's talk about other people behind their back. Let's talk about some other people's drafts here, and maybe there are picks that you like, picks that you don't like, teams overall that you think are pretty good, maybe not, who knows. O'Neal Cruz goes to Britt Flynn. Maybe you think that's a terrible call. I think O'Neal Cruz is that guy who I think a lot of people are I think they're intrigued by him, right? He's a good prospect, solid player here. I guess the real question is how does he develop in Pittsburgh? Such a tough place to develop. It really is.
Oh, you don't get a chance to. And if you do, you get traded right then after and you go somewhere else. But
yeah,
the nice thing with Cruz is I know there's some questions about, can he play shortstop at 8 feet 7 inches tall? Can he do it? We'll have to see. But if not, I think you and I both know as well as everybody, I think that Pittsburgh offense is going to need any little bit of help that they can get. So having his bat in the lineup as potentially their DH, because Pittsburgh has no logical DH option. Maybe Michael Chavis, maybe Big Yoshi could be their DH. But if not, if Cruz for some reason can't handle shortstop at 9 feet 3 inches tall, he just grew 6 inches. That's the last time I said his height. He would be fine as their DH because, like I said, they need any help in that offense that they can get.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's make your pick here. Let's see what you got. Following up Eddie Rosario, what are you looking at?
I think we got to go with an arm. We're going to go with John Gray. in Texas now that he's out of Colorado, push him up above some of the other arms there. Strikeout numbers will be fine in Texas. They added some offense there to help him out. The park isn't as hitter friendly as many want to believe that it is. So I like Jon Gray over a strikeout an inning. And don't get me wrong, just because he leaves Coors, he's not going to become, the Clayton Kershaw of this decade, but he's going to be a serviceable arm. Like I said, over a strikeout per inning. There's going to be times where he pitches. Texas will score 8 runs. The bullpen will make it interesting, but he should hold on for a win. Over a strikeout per inning, double-digit wins. You can't ask for much more as we enter now the 17th round.
So Jon Gray, I looked at his splits, and he actually pitched better at Coors than he did on the road. And like that's my concern there with Gray, because it's not only is it switching leagues and dealing with American League style play. I mean, yeah, granted, you're getting the DH in Colorado at this point, but Gray has spent his entire career with no DH in the National League, with worse numbers on the road than at home in Coors Field. I mean, how does this dude survive? How does this dude survive Texas right now?
I'm just, you look at, away ERA was more than home for his career. I'm just going to look at the strikeout numbers and hope that the strikeouts are there. It was let's see here, on the road, 9.4 K per 9 versus 8 per 9 at home. Walk rate was a bit elevated, which on the road, that could be a bit worrisome, but I'll just buy into the strikeouts. And I think that alone, moving over to with Texas, it's a better park for him overall. Again, I'm not expecting him to become an ace by any means, but at this point, we kind of know what Marcus Stroman is. He'll be good for ERA, but in best ball with a lack of strikeouts, I'd rather take Gray's strikeout plus per inning and kind of deal with maybe some more blowups compared to a guy like Stroman, who maybe if we weren't in best ball, I would have taken Stroman over Gray here. But for best ball, like I said in the beginning, home runs and strikeouts is how you win it. And Gray gives some strikeouts.
All right. Okay. Looking around other people's teams, what are you thinking? Anybody in particular you really like, you really don't like? Be as mean as you want. There's no, we're not here to spare people's feelings. We're not here to, pat them on the back for a job well done. We want to see some performance here. So what do you got? Are you looking at other people's teams? Who do you want to pick on?
I think the logical one here, of course, no offense, we're gonna have to go to team 11 with, I believe that's Dewhurst team. We got a lot of, I know there's some multi-positional eligible guys there, but a lot of what ifs. I like Garrett Cole. Freddie Freeman is yet to sign. We'll see where he goes. He's going to be just fine though, regardless. It's just, we have no catcher yet. I know the catcher isn't the end all be all of whether your team is good or not, but a lot of first basemen there. And when you look at it too, if some of those guys that aren't multi-position eligible are without an injury, are they kind of wasted? We'll have to see, but I think that's the logical one when you look at it there. So I think team 11 is going to have some work to do in the later rounds, to say the least.
Yeah, I will concur. I'm not going to pile on again. You know what? Before let me check my NHL DFS lineup for tonight first.
That's right. Actually, I did make two plays on Prize Picks too, I think, for NHL. I did. Okay, we're okay. We're hanging in there.
I'm looking at my NHL team right now, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. I got a lot of snowflakes here on DK.
I'll tell you, DraftKings DFS is always the worst. It's you look at it and it's not the worst system. It's just when you see all those snowflakes, it's so disheartening. It's just, you see the flames and you get that little that rush of adrenaline of excitement, and then it's just snowflake, and it's quick to really humble you and level you out.
Yeah, well, I just opened up my lineup and I saw 4 snowflakes immediately. So,
all right, so that tab is now exited out of, right? Yep.
I can get out of that. I can come back to this draft. It's really kind of funny. You know what? I'm in the middle of multiple best balls, so I've got 2 going on right now. That I just made other picks in. One just started and one's in round 4. Then I still have the Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational that's going on right now. and then I'm still doing the Raz Slam. Are you in the Raz Slam also?
I am not. I am in TGFBI and about, I think two BB10s and a couple on Underdog.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm all over the place here right now, doing more best balls than I probably should. But you know what, man? I'm having a good time. Again, that's the thing. People are like, oh, well, you're wasting your money. You're wasting money. I'm like, no. Like I guaranteed the best balls, right? And I said this about tonight's draft too. And so everybody who's in this draft, I guaranteed your $10 if they play 100, if they play fewer than 120 games this season, then I will give everybody their entrance fee back out of my own pocket. I'm doing it in the other best ball drafts that I'm doing there as well. Because I know that that's what's going to end up happening here is that, we're going to end up with like 130 games. This stupid, lockout will go on for a little bit longer and eventually they'll do it. But, they talk about different ways to speed up the game. How many times have we heard that people say that the baseball season's too long? Are you going to be upset at 140 games?
Well, no. I mean, I would prefer 162 if we're being honest, but
of course I would prefer
140 is not bad.
But you've already lost like 6 or 7 games with the first 2 series canceled. Yep. You've already lost it.
And it's like I'm pretty confident we're gonna get baseball. Let's be honest. We're gonna get baseball in some way or fashion. They're still kind of talking, whether it be formally or informally. So we are definitely going to get some baseball here. And like these best balls they're just, if you want your baseball fix, this is how you're going to get it. It's not going to be by reading tweets about the lockout. That's just going to get you disheartened. Come in here, join these best balls, have some fun, whether it's these ones with BB10s, or I think you have some with RT Sports. So I'll definitely be doing those, but we'll be, these best balls give you that baseball fix, satisfy that draft craving that you're going to have. And it's good practice so that when you're like your home leagues or other leagues that you're in, when those drafts roll around, you've already got a couple under the belt.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, you got to take a look at the one of the things, and I used to run the mock draft army. And it kind of got outdated because best ball sort of became everybody's way to, instead of having the mock draft, that was everybody's draft fix before. Then best ball came around and everybody's like, well, I might as well have some skin in the game here. And they did it that way. Now, the difference is that in a lot of cases, you have to understand that drafting in a best ball is different than, if you're drafting in your home league. So you do have to make certain adjustments. I almost wish that we could bring back, the mock drafts a little bit more, just because that's the practice. But, one of the big things that I've always gotten out of doing the mock drafts and doing them excessively and now doing them here with best ball is that you learn the depth of the player pool a lot more. You learn the depth of each position a lot more. Doing these drafts right now, means that, when I'm looking at auction values for like labor, which starts this weekend, I'm going to pay a little bit closer attention to third base, right? I'm not going to just kind of let it go by. So, learning the player pool and learning the depth of each position, to me, that's the ideal goal here. Obviously, I want to win. Obviously, I don't want to like put money in and not have anything to show for it. But what this is going to do for me right now is it's just going to make me a better drafter in the bigger leagues. And I'm perfectly fine with that.
And that's the thing. It's, you get investment from the other people in your league, like, or even in these best balls. I've done some just mock drafts over on ESPN. I was the only one in there. I'm drafting against the computer, so everyone goes right off ADPs. I didn't get any better. I mean, sure, it was fun. It satisfied this itch that I had at 6:30 in the morning to do a draft because I was waiting to clock in for work and stuff like that. It satisfied that itch. So it's not like it didn't have purpose behind it, but like these ones, and you get to see too, when you're looking with other people, like, oh, so, Brandon Belt's ADP right now, 197. So I pick at 196. He's going to be there. He might not be, you don't know. And you kind of see other people, what their draft strategy, who are they pushing up? When you look at it here, John and Pemba drafted Byron Buxton in the 4th round. Why is he that high? Let me look into that and consider him a bit more. And who knows, maybe your thoughts change. And if you were against Buxton, maybe you're for him after looking into it, or maybe you're like, nope, I guess I'm with Howard Bender on this one, and I won't touch that guy with a 10-foot pole.
You listen, for the right price, if Byron Buxton slips to the 6th or 7th round in a league where I can trade, then I'm fine with that. I mean, even here in the 4th round, again, 4th round, a little bit on the high side here. But I mean, if this were, I'd be okay with it if I knew I could trade, because I know that there's a Colby Conway in every league that guy is going to pay for Byron Buxton. He's going to want him, right? So, in a league where there's trading allowed, I'm good with it. I'm definitely good with it.
And that's kind of the beauty of the seasonal leagues, where you get to manage your team and really feel like a manager. Like after this draft comes, when will you look at this team again? Probably, after a couple weeks in the season when Buxton's going off and you see,
dude, how good is my team right now? I'm going to look at this team every day.
You can't manage anything with it, but I mean, you'll definitely look when Gilbert starts, when he goes out there and fires 7 shutout innings every time he toes the rubber.
Right. I'm going to touch myself in a place where I can't, show everybody right now.
I guess once every 5th day, I'm going to get a message and be like, hey, what today is? No, Howard, what is today? It's Gilbert Day. Right. And then it'll be met with like a expletive and then a couple words behind it. But
because you can't speak out against it, because you'll obviously have them on a couple of teams of your own.
For sure. Maybe that's what I'll do. When you start messaging me that it's Gilbert Day, I'll just start sending you every team that I have him on and how his positive start impacted my team.
We should celebrate that. We should celebrate Logan Gilbert Day every 5 days and just rejoice in it. Right.
I think it's the only way to do it.
Bring you on the show on Fantasy Alarm and just kind of just sit here for like a full segment and just talk about how great Logan Gilbert is. Bowden will be in on it. Bowden loves him too. We had the funny thing is, I mean, Bowden had scouted him, but Bowden had a conversation with Jerry Dipoto, and Dipoto was the one who turned to him and said, this is the kid that you really want to watch and whatever. And then Jim told me that, and then we had Jerry Dipoto on the show, and he talked again about Logan Gilbert, that we were just like, all right, you can't not take, the advice of the president of baseball operations for the team, right? He's in on him, and I'm good that he's in on him.
Yeah. And the talent's there. We saw it in kind of spurts last year. And I mean, like I said earlier, he's going to be just fine. There's enough there for him. He's going to strike out over a batter per inning, get a good amount of innings under his belt. So it's only a matter of time before we're drafting Gilbert as probably maybe even our top starter, if not definitely our SP2, but expecting SP1 numbers from him.
I feel like I need some corner infield help here, right? I've got Moncada. Toro plays 2nd and 3rd. I only have the one first baseman in who the hell's my first baseman? Did I not take a first baseman? Holy shit. What the hell's wrong with me? That's hysterical.
There's some options there for you.
Yeah, no. I know. That genuinely, that's a bizarre thing. What the hell was I guess again, here you go, doing too many drafts at the same time. I must have thought that I had just taken a first base. And I'm like sitting here looking at this whole thing. Oh, gross. Nathaniel Lowe, it is, right?
It could be. Hey, if you're going to wait at first base, it's a hell of a lot better than waiting at third base.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was so concerned about third base that I went the whole time. How are you not snickering behind me, being like, Bender still doesn't have a first base? How did you not ask me why I didn't have a first baseman yet?
Because we're not in round 27 where I'm over the Gilbert pick yet.
Oh my God.
We're still processing that one.
Jeez Louise. All right, let's see. The first baseman who I missed in this whole thing. I mean, because that's the thing. Because I continuously take Matt Olson, I take Freddie Freeman, right? Oh, that's what it was. I thought I took Pete Alonso and I did not take Pete Alonso. I was looking at taking him in the third round, and he went, and I went to Bogart so quickly. Oh, geez. Let me tell you something, people. There you go. Don't get involved in too many drafts at the same freaking time because you can't keep track.
But once a week or however frequent you want, you definitely want to join these though, hang out with us, draft with us. So if that's going to be your draft for the week, that's appointment drafting.
That is appointment drafting. Now, yeah, how many of these do you want to like? You want to start them up and get them going, or do you want them like set and squared away?
I
Like,
mean,
do you want them like a bunch of slow drafts, or do you want to do like live drafts like this?
no, I mean, a healthy blend of both can be done. We can set up some slow drafts, 4-hour pick clocks, hang out and do it that way. And then, if we get some good news with baseball or anything like that, or, shoot, we just want to jump on the horn and chat a little bit, then we go ahead and try to set up a live one again and go from there. But I definitely think some slow drafts during the week are nice because it definitely makes my day at work go quicker.
Your boss is actually tuning in right now and
Hey, they know.
wants to know.
They know. It's no surprise.
Right? They're like, we're on to you. Well, they because they're probably like, we got like a future big time fantasy analyst here. He's gonna be like super famous. He's gonna have his own show. Right?
I mean, they're in there like doing work stuff. Like, hey, Colby, you got this. I was like, hey, we're getting there, but I got a best ball draft tonight. Do you want in? And then they're like, nah, but you can just like get me what I need. And I'm like, well, if you want what you need for that, that thing that you need, then you need to head here and sign up, and I'll see you tonight, and we'll handle it that way. But we'll see. I think some slow drafts would be nice. I know there's a lot of a gripe among slow drafts. I know some don't like it. I love slow drafts personally, just popping in, make my pick and head out. So I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not, but I wouldn't mind setting up a couple slow drafts and get some people in and prolong the fun.
I'll tell you what, I talked about this on the show today, right? On Fantasy Alarm today. I've grown accustomed to the slow draft, right? Set my phone notifications up and make sure that I don't miss a pick. I'm good with that. What I can't stand, and we see this all the time, right? People are talking about these like big drafts, Raz Slam, Great Fantasy Baseball Invitational. They do it with the Scott Fish Bowl all the time and the Raz Bowl. Everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is amazing. It's amazing. What are you going to do? Who are you going to do? They start up like a Twitter chat room of like everybody who's in the league. And they're like, chatter. And then the draft takes forever. Like then they drag their feet in the draft, and it's insane. We had a guy, I was telling the story. We had a guy in, I think it was the Raz Bowl last year. And this dude is he's like incessantly chatting in the Twitter chat over and over, like diarrhea of the mouth. Can't stop his fingers from typing on the keyboard. And somebody turned around and was like, dude, you've been on the clock for 2.5 hours. Get the hell off of the chat and go make your stupid pick. Like, it's amazing to me. It's a mind blower. And that, I think that's part and parcel the reason why I think slow drafts get a bum rap, because, I think that, people who, talk incessantly about wanting to do the draft and then they drag their feet, or they're not paying enough attention. I think that's what it comes down to.
And and that happens. Like don't get me wrong, a live draft is infinitely times more fun than a slow draft. But the slow draft, you set up the notifications, and as long as people are good about it, and you kind of go from there. It's just the tough thing is with slow drafts, one bad apple will ruin the bunch. And that's where you kind of get stuff. Like the worst part in slow drafts is if you have someone who's going to be that bad apple and they're the last pick, because the first 2 rounds, when everyone's excited and everyone's all jazzed up for that draft, and you got 4 hours for pick 12, and then you got 4 more hours for pick 13, that ruins the fun real quick. So that's the only time slow drafts can get kind of a bad rap. But personally, I like them. You can do more at once, and as long as you draft a third baseman early and you're not waiting on a third baseman, you can have fun with best balls.
who is the monster that does that? That like, takes forever to make their pick on the wheel. And then, and you're like, oh my God, I'm waiting 3 hours for this, dude's only got an hour left and people are messaging him, you're about to time out. Right. And then he takes another 3 hours to make that second pick. Like, I get it. If you time out, on these sites though, if you time out your second pick, you automatically get pushed to the auto. Right.
Yeah, but I think the only time it doesn't happen is if you're the last pick. Sometimes that clock goes again because you're like that next person up. It's always good if it jumps it.
Dude,
but
I've seen people do it intentionally. Like, like it's crazy.
Well, they're out to do it then. That's a different breed. That's someone out to sabotage that slow draft.
People need to be shot.
That is someone who got signed up for the best ball draft because they wanted to draft with their friend and then realized it was a slow draft and said, you know what? I don't actually think we're friends.
Yeah.
And then they're like, I'm gonna ruin that slow draft.
We're really not close. We are really genuinely not close.
Yep.
So I just heard a chime for that I'm on the clock in another draft. And this is the draft that I took Pete Alonso in. So I guess again, I have no sense of what's going on. And this actually, because I'm like sitting here trying to like broadcast with you and talk about this could actually hurt me more in the overall.
We were talking about multiple catchers and if it's going to happen. And I'm looking here at John's team, and these colors are a little close, but it doesn't look like he has a first baseman. But I believe Tyler Stevenson is catcher and first base eligible, and then he came back in round 19 with Omar Narvaez, and in the 21st with Gary Sanchez. So we were talking about 2 catchers, and we got someone in here with not 1, not 2, but 3 catchers.
Yeah, I don't really understand. I mean, listen, I guess if you're thinking about, I love Stevenson. I think Stevenson's going to be a great pick. I get, you've got the upside of Gary Sanchez. If he performs well, then maybe Gary Sanchez, powers up for you. But, if it's a 1 catcher league, I don't necessarily know if I want to invest in the third guy. I don't know. I don't hate it, but I don't really love it that much. I love it as much as I love double tapping first base in rounds 20 and 21 because you forgot to take a friggin' first baseman because you're in too many damn leagues.
There's some pop there with Rowdy Tellez. So it's, hey, for waiting for round 20 and 21, you didn't come out half bad at that position.
I mean, listen, I admire your optimism.
Hey, it's what I'm here for.
I admire your optimism. All right, so here we go. Now this is where I say, all right, fine, why not? Let me look into. Oh yeah, one of my favorite second catchers still sitting there. I'm gonna take Jacob Stallings.
Former Pittsburgh great.
Former Pittsburgh Pirate, but the good thing about Stallings is that he hits for average. Mm-hmm. Like I don't need a lot of pop out of him. Right. And I mean, yes, it's best ball and I've got Adley Rutschman for power or whatever. But if it comes to pass that, Rutschman, I don't know, gets, struggles, gets sent down, whatever the case may be. Stallings is he's a good guy who's going to have a stable average. He's not going to hurt you. Right. Like I'm comfortable over there. I'm comfortable with him as my number 2.
Hey, you can't go wrong there. Now it comes up to me here. As you look at it here, I'm pretty set across the board with positions for the most part. So I can almost see now this is a spot where Michael Brantley becomes very interesting with average, but I'm not sure how much the home run numbers bounce back there. So I don't really need the batting average per se. It would be quite nice to have there, but I'm going to go with a closer here. He should hold the job for a little bit. The offense is better with Baez, hopefully. I'm going to go with Gregory Soto. He's a guy, he's kind of that mid-tier closer that's going to take that next jump, I believe, this year. Strikeouts are good, stays healthy. He'll be just fine.
Okay. I ain't gonna hate on Soto. I've got Tariq Skubal, so I need Soto to actually close out some games for me.
There it is. Looks like
Right.
we're in cahoots there.
We yeah, it's the collusion. We're
Yeah,
colluding in best ball right now.
if there is ever such a thing.
Figure this out. Shortstop, I'm good. Pitchers, I'm fine. Yeah, all right. I mean, now to me, this is just a matter of like, scooping up some guys who could have some upside to them. I don't know. Do you have any real late round sleepers? We did something on the show. We got all these people talking about guys like Edmundo Sosa, Nico Horner, and breakout campaigns for these guys. You got any good late round players who you find yourself taking in some of these drafts?
Oh, of course I do, and I'm sure that you would like me to say them now, as I'm planning on taking them in a bit. But there's definitely some guys. They're more so in the outfield. Like I talked about it yesterday on XM. Like I'm a big Brandon Marsh guy this year. I think he plays every day for the Angels. Double-digit homers, double-digit steals. He's a bit trendy, but Tyrone Taylor, Milwaukee, full-time at bats, he'll be just fine. And he's, like I said, he's kind of the trendy pick there, but he's a guy that I'm very interested in. And there's a couple arms that maybe there's some bounce back potential. I'm going to take one here in a couple rounds, so we will wait to talk about him in a little bit. But as we look here, like Julio Rodriguez is interesting just because he's going to be darn good when he gets there. Maybe at this point,
if you don't take Brandon Marsh, I'm going to take. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Somebody who's watching and listening to us might do it, but I
just had flashbacks to Logan Gilbert. So that was, I didn't like that, but we'll take Brantley at this point. I know best ball, the good batting average that he'll get, maybe it's just a couple points here and there. And if the homers rebound, then great. I'm not really buying into it. He's like the perfect guy in like roto formats though, where if you take, I'm like, dare I say, like a Matt Chapman type, or maybe you take Joey Gallo at some point, you're going for big time power and you just need someone to balance out the batting average. Where Brantley's going for batting average and maybe a little rebound in home runs, this is a really good spot for Michael Brantley.
Okay. All right. Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I've always been a Brantley fan, and I've always wondered why people are so kind of down on him, like or just kind of leave him be. I don't really understand it. You're not getting mammoth production, but you're getting good, stable, consistent production from him. He's really not that streaky of a guy.
And sometimes there's safety and security. If you're going to take some streaky guys earlier on, like knowing day in and day out, you got Michael Brantley there who's going to go 2 for 4, maybe an extra base hit sprinkled in there. I mean, that pays the bills. It's kind of hard to ignore that. And at the end of the year, you're rarely disappointed with his overall stat line. Rarely.
Yeah. I'm going to take a guy who I don't really like, but
that's a great intro to the pick.
Right. I mean, listen, because it's best ball, you want to make sure that you're covered. Yeah. There's a little bit of speed here at shortstop. I don't really have anybody. The shortstop list is pretty ugly. I mean, Crawford, Jimenez, Hae-Sung Kim, Rojas. There's really, it's bad. I mean, just in the sense that it's it's a position that everybody grabs early, including, I've got Bogarts here, but in order just to, in case, keep myself covered, I'm going to take Andres Jimenez because he's got a little speed to him there as well. So I might as well take a look and check it out.
I remember taking him in TGFBI last year. I was like, yep, he's going to be the guy that helps this team stolen bases and a 218 batting average later with only a handful of steals. And my team is in the bottom of the league that it was in last year. But yeah, it's one of those things you can't hold it over their heads too much. Hope there's a bounce back here. And, the batting average jumps back, double-digit homers, double-digit steals. That's there. And at this point, gotta like it.
Gotta like it indeed. All right, where are we at here now? Round 23. Oy, oy, oy. Boy, these drafts are long. Like I haven't done a 32 round draft in I don't know how long. We're gonna get to some really ugly picks soon.
Hey, but these are the rounds you pay attention to. See who other people like. Why is player X getting pushed up? Why is someone taking player X over player Y? Like this is the interesting stuff because I mean, in best balls, these guys can pop off and make your team. Like it's interesting, and it's always neat knowing too. When you see some other drafts, like, oh, why did John and Pemba take this guy late? Why did Ron Rigney take this guy late? You start looking into it, and you're like, well, I'll be damned. There's something to like here, and maybe instead of avoiding him, come round 26, that's a guy I'm interested in. Maybe,
Maybe.
maybe that's the big thing. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Yeah, now I got to figure out how I'm gonna like round things out on my roster. Because we've gone through the position players pretty damn well here, and I'm gonna have to probably look into a little bit of speed. Oh, see, my eyes are burning right now staring at this computer screen, Colby.
Let me tell you, I'm looking at my TGFBI team because it's my pick here, and guess what position I didn't take?
Oh, first base.
No, third base, even worse.
Oh, right. Oh, you're toast. Who are the top third basemen out there right now?
Ryan McMahon and Matt Chapman.
Oh, how are you set for batting average at this point?
Well, we have a batting average.
How badly is Matt Chapman hitting 220 going to hurt you?
Well, here the offense right now we're looking at. We got Wilson Contreras, Jared Walsh, Tommy Edman, Lindor, Kyle Tucker, Mike Trout, Akil Baddoo, Kyle Schwarber. So a 220 won't kill me. We can do it. I need something. I mean, that's for sure. So I think we're just going to go ahead. We're just going to take Matt Chapman there and call it a day.
Matt Chapman and call it a day. All right. So the guy I'm looking at for I'm picking in 3 picks here. I won't say anything because Impemba's producing, and if I start mumbling who it is, then he's going to know, and I don't want to do that. So I'll just turn around and I'll say, let me look at some outfielders right now. And oh baby, here's a guy who actually talent. I love the talent. I really do. Power, speed. Got a 5-cent head though. Ramon Laureano.
Yep.
Oh, who just went?
John took him.
Did he really?
Yep.
You son of a bitch. Well, no, but see, I'll tell you what, because the reason that I've been avoiding Laureano right now is because we don't know the length of the season. And he still has like 27 games that he's suspended?
I think it's about a month's worth, I think. So somewhere in there.
That's a tough one there. So when you're talking about that shortened season, really the question is can you invest in a guy like that who could conceivably miss like 20% of the season?
Yeah, and he's one that we kind of make assumptions about certain players that are impacted positively or negatively by a shortened season, but with someone like him, there is a hard 20x, maybe like low 30s game that he's got to basically pay his dues for. So like a shortened season for him is very, very meaningful and impactful. But at this point, 23rd round, you were looking at him here at, I believe your pick here in the 24th, you were looking at him. So at that point, say we get a 120 game season and he is popped for 90 some games. I mean, he's got enough juice, both power and speed, to make an impact and maybe even impact your team, even with, the absence of a 5th or so of games, a 6th, I should say.
6th.
Might be closer to a 5th.
Yeah. Well, by the time they get everything set and squared away, it could be a 5th, could be a quarter. You don't know. We don't know. I mean, that's the thing. All right. So I'm going to add to my first base situation here, which is obviously ugly, right? We know it's ugly. But here you go. Here's a guy where the DH in the NL could really kind of be a blessing in disguise, because this dude's defense is horrible, right? And that's one of the reasons why they don't want him playing, but he does hit for good power. And he does, and he's here at first base right now, likely to be the DH for the Milwaukee Brewers if Yelich's back is okay. Keston Hiura.
Oh man, I queued him up.
Did you?
Started, yeah.
I was like, man, your silence tells me that you're gonna like crap on the pick here, which is
No,
fine. I don't care if you do.
no, you started talking and I was like, maybe we're talking about one of those Giants first baseman that's still there. It's
Oh,
interesting. And then
gross.
you got me into here, but no, I agree. I mean, we're only a couple years removed from a nearly 20 homer and 10 stolen base season. So that's a good offense to be a part of. So at this point, you're adding another good Milwaukee first baseman to your lineup, I should say.
Right. Hello, Milwaukee. Telez and Hira. Somebody's gonna do it for me there at some point. It's like handcuffing first baseman.
Yep.
Oh, can you say handcuffing? Is handcuffing allowed?
That's a new draft strategy.
Handcuffing first baseman?
Just in fantasy baseball in general.
Why don't you try?
Like, hey,
well,
I'm gonna take his backup.
You know what? It really isn't, because people do it with closers a bunch, right?
True.
You take the closer, and then you take their eighth inning guy. If their eighth inning guy has been really, really strong, you do like Hader and Devin Williams. Trying to think some of the other ones, because I've done it before, right? You do Emmanuel Clase and James Karinchak.
Yep.
Right, because the middle reliever is still good enough to use. Now, I mean, obviously this is best ball and it's a different situation here, but I'm talking about like in regular leagues where you can throw a middle reliever into your rotation for, a week or so, and just he's helping augment some strikeouts, and he's just helping lower your ratios if he's that good. Like if he was, Devin Williams before last year, when Devin Williams crapped the bed for everybody and got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm saying there, right? So you lock down the team saves when you do it. It's like, taking Camilla Doval and then taking Jake McGee as well.
Yeah, it's just, I guess, maybe the handcuffing, if you will, outside of closers, we haven't seen too much. But so I went ahead. I'm curious of your thoughts on this one, because mine is a little bit more speculative than anything. I pushed Will Myers pretty high up there. I mean, 24th round isn't all that high, to be honest. But Will Myers is a guy. I think San Diego is probably going to give Jurickson Profar DH at bats. It's just probably what they're going to do. But Will Myers would be the perfect DH for that San Diego Padres lineup. Leave the glove in the clubhouse. Don't even worry about it. During BP, don't even go shag fly balls. You're not even needed. Just hang out right around the cage, get your hacks, and just let him focus on hitting. And we've seen it in past years. There's enough power in that bat, and he can do some other stuff as well. And I mean, I think 20 plus homers this year is reasonable for Myers. I would love to see them make him the full-time DH, but they got something for Jurickson Profar, and they want him in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let's talk about it. I mean, obviously players who are going to see that bump because of the National League DH. Again, you've got this article coming out about catchers this weekend that everybody should definitely check out. By the way, fantasyalarm.com/MLB draft guide. Get yourself the draft guide. It's less than $20, right? You're getting all the content that's already there. You're getting rankings from Jim Bowden, Adam Ronis, me. You're getting all the work that Colby Conway does. Colby did like mad crazy player profiles, player capsules that we have on all their team pages. You get the Front Office Insights podcast with me and Jim. You get the ultimate cheat sheet that it gets you access to our Discord, right? Like all of that. So fantasyalarm.com/MLB draft guide gets you the draft guide, the cheat sheet, everything. And we're still updating all this stuff. So I just want to, got to give that the pitch for that one there. Indeed. Paul DeJong.
Yep. I mean, if you look at my team,
I need another shortstop. I was looking at Paul DeJong.
So did I. It's one of those things where look at the universal DH. Like I talked about it in the catcher article that the Cardinals would probably be well suited to give Yachty some at bats at DH, keep his bat in the lineup, but let the old man not have to catch. But DeJong's going to probably be that shortstop. Edmundo Sosa is going to handle middle infield role. Let DeJong just hit, and we've seen him at times. He's a professional power hitter when he gets that opportunity. And speaking of Edmundo Sosa, there he goes.
Edmundo Sosa.
I just took the other St. Louis. Well, I don't really know if he's going to be the St. Louis shortstop. He's probably going to be the St. Louis DH, and Paul DeJong just take some pop there. But the the DH something to be privy of, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me just make sure as I'm like scanning through all of these different draft boards and drafts and making sure that it's not my pick in some other places here.
That's the only reason I knew is my pick in TGFBI. I got that DM from the Twitter group of at Colby R. Conway. You're on the clock, and I was like, appreciate it.
Wait, did you just jump on the clock and they messaged you that you're on the clock?
No. They give you a little bit of time. I got a pretty good group. There are a lot of big names in it, but a lot of respectful folk as well. So it's, they give you the first hour or so, and then they let you know that you're on the clock. So I appreciate that they kind of let you figure it out and go from there.
Dude, I would lose my shit if like every time I was on the clock. I mean, it happened in a football draft. I won't say which one it was, but it happened in a football draft where and it was the whole thing was done on Sleeper. And you can't turn those notifications off on Sleeper during the draft. And it was like slow draft, 4-hour clock, and there was one dude in the draft who just continuously messaged people like within 10 minutes of them being on the clock. Hey, just so you know, you're on the clock. Like, I don't need your help.
Yeah.
I'm not in this chat because of that. Like, and it's gonna force me to not come back to the league next year strictly because I don't want to deal with it.
That's interesting. I love Sleeper because of the notifications. It's a little bit much on draft because you get all of them. I get that, but it's always interesting. You have people, and what gets me the most is if you have that guy or that girl that will message you right when it's your turn. Yet when it's their turn, we're not kind of picking right away. The pot can't call the kettle black here. We got to kind of go both ways here. So if you're going to call me out for being quick, if I call you out for not being quick, then like you got to take your own medicine.
Yeah. I like to shame people in that fashion.
Regardless, I love slow drafts. If we haven't decided that, but
not me, dude. I mean, it's not my preference. I've become more tolerant of them, but it's not my. I mean, I like, because you get those people who are like, oh, I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna catch up all the news and blah blah blah. And they just slow the pace down incessantly with that. And you're just like, come on, man. Like, I mean, you can't, be prepared, right? Make sure you do the research and stay prepared for everything. Otherwise, like, don't bother.
It's, sure, that one time that you wait, you might get that breaking news that something happened and you now gain immense value with your pick. But the other 86 times that you do it, nothing's going to break in that 3 hours or that 7 hours. Nothing's going to break. So make your pick, move on, and you go from there. And the beauty of it is there's always another best ball slow draft to join. Especially with us. Hang out with us, have a good time. Or Seriously. Take your time and make your picks, but don't take too long. Don't take too long.
Yeah, I don't know, man. To me, it's you get in that, you're doing that draft. Everybody's there. Everybody's got the same time constraints. Everybody's doing their thing. I don't know. But again, like I said, I'm actually a lot more tolerant for slow drafts now than I was even just like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's Maybe interesting too because
my old age.
I was about to say, as you get older, it's harder to get everybody in the league together. Everyone has different priorities. Some people have kids, other people have jobs, some have dogs, some just don't like you, and it takes a while to find the right time to get in there and join. So it's
all dogs like me.
Well, you also have giant wolves, so if the wolves like you, you're good. I got a teddy bear of a Bernedoodle, and he is he's super friendly, but he's nothing like your wolves.
My wolves are good. My wolves are also a bunch of big douchebags. They get that way, right? Like, so the youngest right now, who just turned a year, he's now he thinks that he's going to try and reassert himself in the pack a little bit more. I'm like, no, dude, it doesn't work that way. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. And you know, and so he, you know, we did the DNA test, and it turned out he came back 2% douchebag.
There you
And
go.
so, you know, you know, you go with that.
Yeah,
You go with that.
we got a big old Bernedoodle named Texan, as if that surprises you. And then
Where are the pictures? How come I haven't seen a bunch of pictures of them?
no, I don't tweet out pictures of the dog that much. I just
Why
kind of
wouldn't you?
I let
Why
him
wouldn't
hang
you?
out.
Dogs are so much better than people.
Well, I'm not tweeting out photos of people either. That'd be weirder. That'd be more weird. Could you imagine? Like, hey, here's my daily tweet. It's a picture of Howard from X year doing X activity.
People would be like, "Wow, that's a handsome guy you putting on your site."
They'd probably be like, how the hell did you get that photo? Or why the hell do you still have that? That might be what they're really saying. Then we're dog sitting a dog named Harper right now. So I'm sure they're upset I didn't take Bryce Harper earlier on, but not for me.
Oh my Lord. Yeah, see, now I just want to talk dogs, right? Shout out to because you know, I'll shout out to Embark, the DNA people, because we get now it's like we're like addicted to finding the DNA because we only do rescues, right?
Mm.
And you know, once we get a dog from a rescue, we're immediately like call Embark, get the swab, figure out the DNA, some cool shit. Some cool shit. Like again, you learn that your dog is 2% douchebag.
Hey, that's a good report. Good report. It's very. I don't know how that shows up in the DNA part of it, but hey.
Not either. They just look at this dog and they're like, "Man, this dog has the potential of being a real asshole."
Well, you know, those results can't be 100% accurate. So they say they're 98% accurate, and then 2% is up to interpretation, and they just take a guess.
Yeah. Well, no, when they do that, then they label it super mutt.
Yeah.
Like
That's
super
it.
mutt? What the hell is a super mutt? Well, I need to see pictures of this of this dog. I need to see a picture of Texan.
No, we'll get some out there. We'll see. He's not in here right now.
I was
That's
gonna
for
say,
sure.
is he in there right now?
No,
You pick
no,
him
you
up,
hear-
show him to the crowd.
Oh, you'd hear him. You would hear him, but he would be happy with my Brandon Marsh pick right there. That is for certain.
Yeah, you like how I left him there for you? Didn't even bother.
Yeah.
Didn't even bother.
You haven't had him in your queue for the last 7 rounds.
No, I haven't actually. I have had Riley Green sitting in my queue for the last 7 rounds.
I'll tell you, I love getting to this part of the draft because this is, you know, earlier on in drafts, you have like your my guys that you kind of talk about. But when you get into this part and you start really pushing people up, like I pushed up Will Myers, here's Brandon Marsh. This is when you truly know who are different people's guys are that they're willing to push up here in these rounds. Because at this point, you need a reason to draft somebody. You're looking for one. And if you're pushing them up here, there's a reason that you like them. So why is that the case? And this is where you can really gain insightful value. Even if these players end up getting dropped in a week, some others might stick on your team and be pretty meaningful producers.
All right. Well, so we're gonna talk it up here with your late round picks here, Colby, and you know we'll wait until Ani makes his pick, and see who's your next, who's your 27th round sleeper pick, who you digging on the most.
Yeah, I think I got a couple outfielders in my queue, but I already have a ton of them, so I feel like I should quit the outfielders, but that's where I just can't do it. I just keep getting sucked into the outfield there. Maybe I'll go with another pitcher here. We'll see what Ani does. As long as he doesn't take him, I'm gonna go with a reliever here. That'll be what I do.
Yeah, I was wondering if I should go back. You know, it's like when you take those 2 top tier closers, you're like, I'm just gonna ignore relievers the rest of the way, because it's like it's around here where I start looking for, like, you know, the Corey Knables and the you know, the Camila Dovals, those type guys.
Yep. And it's like, I went with Lucas Sims. So here's the thing. The reason I'm getting him here is because there's concerns if Cincinnati deploys him as like the full-time closer, the every 9th inning guy. If I had that guarantee, this would be just a home run of a pick. But obviously, if that was the guarantee, there's no shot I would be getting him this late in the drafts. I like Lucas Sims' big time strikeout numbers there. So hopefully the saves follow suit.
Yeah, that was interesting in that Cincinnati bullpen when TJ Antone was there also last year, and you know, you were like trying to figure out how they were going to deal with their bullpens. Amir Garrett, TJ Antone. You had Lucas Sims. You were like, who's going to be closing for the Reds? I don't know how they ended up sticking with Amir Garrett for as long as they did. He was atrocious last season, but there you go. You say Kikuchi, baby.
Hey,
I hear he's talking. The word is that the Mets are in on Kikuchi.
well, aren't the Mets in on everyone?
Yeah, they are, but
Selectively.
But I mean, you look at Kikuchi. He's a lefty. He's got good stuff. He needs to. He's still learning. He's still learning pitching in the States, right? And he's still learning pitching. In Major League Baseball. Could you imagine Kikuchi, right, sitting there getting advice from DeGrom and Scherzer and taking that advice?
And I mean, it's not like Kikuchi was bad over the last 2 years. I mean, over the last 2 years, 4.59 ERA, so be it, but FIPS in the 4.3s, xFIPS in the 3.8s, over a strikeout per inning. I mean, it's one of those things, again, at this point, you find something you like, that's what you're going for. And hey, I don't mind that at all, especially if he ends up there. It's hard to argue that those are two better arms to learn from, given how purely how darn good DeGrom is and how good Scherzer's been for how long he's been. He's got to know something or two. So that would be a really good spot for him.
Right. I kind of dig on stuff like that. When you sit there and you wonder, how much of a mentor some of the veterans really are to some of the younger pitchers, or pitchers who, like Kikuchi, don't have as extensive experience in the majors as them. Jesus, look at these names coming off the board right now, dude.
Yeah, it looks like it's time for another catcher. I think that's what I'm.
Well, how many do you have? 2?
No, I wish.
Well, you only have the one?
I only got the one. Yeah. But I got a good one. That's what I tell myself, at least.
Right? Oh, man.
The catcher pool is depressing.
This whole pool at this point right now where we're at is depressing. You could say you could talk about being excited all you want. The bottom line is, though, is that this can get uber depressing when you get down to this crew.
I mean, I guess I could handcuff the Cubs catchers and just take both of them.
Ugh.
I mean, hey.
You could.
That is correct. I could.
I think you'll like my next pick. My next pick should be an intriguing one.
It's whenever you say that, I'm worried now that it's going to be one of the. I only have a couple in my queue, so the odds are diminished that you take one of them, but I'm not going to rule it out either.
Oh, okay.
What position is it?
It is a pitcher.
All right, there's one of them in there.
Does it make you nervous?
A little bit. AL or NL?
NL.
Oh, son of a gun. What division? NL.
Central.
Oh, we're good. Take them. Don't care. That was close. I was getting a little worried there.
I mean, there's a name or two here. Nothing crazy, but wait till Nate Markham makes his next pick before I jump in with somebody.
Yeah, I'm looking here, and there's some just looking at some of like the most recent picks and stuff, and you look at it, we're definitely getting to that tier of like ups, kind of like not necessarily upside guys, but like the Alex Reyes, the Kikuchis, kind of like buying into just something of them that is really of interest to people. And like looking at the last couple picks, what Ani did with Strasburg in the 26th is interesting. If they can stay healthy, if they're going to be healthy coming into the year, that's a steal. Oh, I like that pick. Mr. David Bednar.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
closer. He's going to close for Pittsburgh. They might not win a bunch of games, but that's all right. Closers on bad teams are still rock solid. The only possible major detractor here is obviously that he could get traded once, like Pittsburgh will fall out of it, 10 games into the season. And they'll start their little fire sale. So I do worry about Bednar losing that job and ending up as a middle reliever. But, he's definitely locked in right now as their closer.
Well, he is. And the thing too is with how bad Pittsburgh is, if they're going to win games, they're not winning by a lot. So whenever they're leading, there's going to be save opportunities to be had. We even saw it like when Melanson was there. They weren't the best of teams, and Melanson just racked up saves because God forbid they get a lead. It's not by much. It's only going to be by a run or two. So Bednar's a guy that I'm hoping to get around the board. And if he gets traded midway through the year, that's fine. He should still be impactful in other categories as well.
We shall see. All right, here we go. 28th pick, Colby. Who are you looking at?
Yeah, we're going to have to get a second catcher at some point to be safe. Jorge Alfaro is interesting because if they don't DH Will Myers and they stick his sorry defensive presence out in the outfield and they don't put Profar at DH, Alfaro could be very interesting there. Don't really want to double tap the Cubs catcher. So when in doubt, you just wait and you don't really worry about it. And hopefully in a couple rounds, you can deal with it. I think here we do need, we're running out of time. We're gonna need,
9, 8, 7.
Matt
6,
Sells isn't gonna like this.
5.
He's gonna like this. Patrick Corbin. Hopefully he can bounce back there. Hopefully he can recapture that form from years past and be a good pitcher. But Matt Sells talked me into Sonny Gray in one of the Fantasy Alarm MLB podcast that we did, and he kind of talked me into Sonny Gray, so I added him to the staff earlier, and he wasn't quite as in on Corbin as I was wanting to be, so a little bit of a Debbie Downer there on that one, but at this point, why not? But hey, he's my co-host, so he's good in my book.
There you go. He's also the 3-time Fantasy Sports FSWA Racing Writer of the Year.
He did. He
won. I love giving that shout out, man. Right? I'm so happy for him. Right? It's he's so good at breaking down NASCAR, and it was such a passion project of his when he took it under. When he took it up for Fantasy Alarm. So to see him crush it like that with the awards, it's stuff like that makes me feel like the proud papa there. You know what I'm saying?
I give him all the credit because it's one of those things. It's like, hey, they're all on the same track. They're all turning the same way. How you find this value, more kudos to you. I remember when I was younger, my dad would watch NASCAR and I would be like, this is so boring. And I would go watch like TV with my mom. And I never did that because usually sports were on downstairs. And that's where I was. That was where it was going to be. And when NASCAR came on, I was like, nope, I'm out. So it's interesting that he's created just such great content there, wrote his prize picks selections the past couple of weeks, done quite well there. Just another reason to be in our Discord.
Just another reason to be in our Discord. 100%. 100%. Seth Brown, baby. I'm taking Seth Brown. Maybe he helps me. Good. I mean, he should play regularly in Oakland, right? I mean, he could end up getting spelled every once in a while, but I'm pretty confident that he's going to get enough at bats to really give himself some decent value. I mean, he's going to be starting no matter what with Laureano out, right? Piscotty never stays healthy. They're using Chad Pinder in left. So I think Brown can actually get full-time at bats.
And at the very least, he should against righties. And you're absolutely right with Laureano suspended to begin the year. Brown's locked in, and last year 20 bombs. And I mean, sure, he only hit 220 against righties, but 19 bombs against them. Even if he works his way into a platoon against righties, he's on the larger side of it. And at the very least, his pop is well documented. We all know it. So at this point, I like that. And if he gets full-time at bats, boy, with that power, I know it's a big stadium, but even that stadium can't hold him.
No, it cannot. Sorry, I'm scrolling through the outfielders now, looking at some of these names.
Hey, there's a couple good ones in there.
I'm surprised that there are a couple of good ones in here still.
Should have waited at outfield.
No. I shouldn't have. Don't get too crazy here. Don't get all nutso. Ooh, there's a guy with some speed. How about that? Ooh.
Apparently,
Ooh.
looking at this, we have 2 outfielders that count to our overall score and utility, and I've decided to draft 9 outfielders.
Yeah, I've got I only have 7. Look at that.
Oh man.
I have 7. I 4 pitchers, but I've got 10 on the roster now.
Yeah, I've got 2 more outfielders in the queue too. Might as well just get in the double digits. Can't hurt.
Well, let's see. I've got an outfielder in my queue also. What American or National?
I have a AL West and NL Central.
Oh, I have an AL Central in my queue as well.
No, NL Central.
Oh, NL Central.
So we're good. You can have that person all you want.
All right, take it easy there, buddy. Take it easy there, buddy.
I still need to get a second catcher at some point.
Even
though
I
they're not gonna matter.
guess. Well, see, that's the thing is how much does it really, is it going to matter to you, in order to do it? I mean, who are you going to do? Wow, man, it's really dismal.
I might just take Alfaro, and if that way,
Dude,
regardless,
Roberto Perez is starting for Pittsburgh.
he is starting.
Not great, right? But I mean, there's nobody else that's gonna supplant him.
Yeah,
At this point.
I mean, he might hit a $180. Might.
Yeah. There's always.
But at this point, we're just trying to take a catcher. I mean, when you look at our 2, powerhouse teams, if I do say so myself, I have Wilson Contreras, you have Adley Rutschman. As long as Rutschman gets up sooner rather than later, barring injury, no catcher we take now is going to supplant those 2 guys in our starting lineup. You also have Stalling, so you're good with your second catcher. I didn't even see him there. Now, like for me, this person is purely a liability, basically insurance in case anything were to happen to Contreras, which fingers crossed, nothing happens.
Always a fingers crossed that nothing happens. I wish. I don't wish any injuries on anybody. May all your teams stay healthy all year. Maybe they just underperform in comparison to mine.
Just finish behind me. That's pretty much it.
There's Impemba with the Jaron Duran pick, right?
Hey,
Homer Red Sox pick.
Almost a little upset I didn't see him, or I didn't take him there. He was actually not one of the outfielders I had in my queue.
Lesson to be learned, people. When you're going from room to room, different draft rooms, these default rankings are all different. You got to really dig deep and make sure that you are not overlooking anybody, right? How many times have we seen that happen where you're like, oh my God, how is that guy still available? Because nobody checked that he was, for whatever reason, was buried in the queue. Absolutely buried.
And I mean, that's a good point. Every site is different ADP. Like I did that mock draft on ESPN, and I was telling Matt Sells about that team on the podcast. Just the players that I had, my first 3 picks were ridiculous. They're just players you're never going to get all 3 of them on the same team. So make sure you take a look at the site that you're drafting on with their ADP, where are their rankings, and it always helps. Like if there's late guys that I know that I want, like Brandon Marsh and like Tyrone Taylor, guys like that, I'm queuing them up early on, so I'm making sure I don't forget about them.
Smart. Very, very smart. Yeah, I mean, people who don't use the queue, I don't really understand that.
I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, when that sound goes off, whatever noise goes off when someone from your queue gets taken, yeah, it's a little bit disheartening. But I mean, that's basically your scratch pad. That's your notepad during the entire draft. Put the guys in there that you want to take, and if you have like the 3rd overall pick, if you want Trey Turner or Juan Soto there, you're going to take them. Don't be putting guys like Ronald Acuna and like Fernando Tatis there. They're not coming back to your next pick. If you just like hearing the sound of your player getting picked when like out of your queue, then I mean that's on you. Go ahead. That's not for me. But use that queue
a glutton
wisely.
for the punishment, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh darn, someone took Fernando Tatis. He didn't make it back to me at pick 17 in the second round. Like of course he didn't. He never was going to. You just wanted to self-inflict some pain on you because you didn't get that guy.
Oh man. All right. So where are you going? Oh, you just took Tyrone Taylor. You love Tyrone Taylor.
Yep. Why not? At this point, I shoot for some upside. I mean, he was in the value vault a good bit last year. I believe it was against left-handers was where he was more sufficient. So maybe this year he does a little bit against both, works his way in that lineup. And I guess apparently looking at this, I really like the Milwaukee offense.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes when you do that. I actually I came away from a best ball draft and I was like, damn, I got a lot of White Sox. Like all of a sudden, like it just kind of like popped where I was like, yeah, I think because I already had I took Eloy Jimenez and I think I took I took Lewis Robert and Eloy Jimenez. And then I was like looking through and all of a sudden I was like, yeah, now I got myself Yohan Moncada. Okay, now I've got, whoever. And all of a sudden I realized that I had almost a huge portion of the White Sox. Not a bad lineup to be invested in, though. I mean, let's face facts.
No, I mean, if you're going to be heavily invested in, teams, if it's an offense you like that's going to pop off, go ahead and, get your pieces of it. Like I'm looking at the Milwaukee offense. I have Yelich, Colton Wong, now Tyrone Taylor. So I mean, that's where I'm thinking offense is going to be. And it's, you can do a lot of like drafts or like talk to a lot of people and be like, yeah, I like this, I like that. But once you get into drafts and start seeing who you're actually drafting, when you put your money where your mouth is, and you start really seeing like, yeah, I never told anybody I like the Milwaukee offense. But after looking at my ownership percentage, when Christian Yelich, Tyrone Taylor, and Rowdy Tellez are my three most owned players in best ball, is like, oh, maybe I'm really on the Milwaukee offense. So that's when the money is where your mouth is. That's where you really learn where your ownership and where your stakes are.
So wise, Colby Conway. So wise. Look at you. Look at you.
Wise in my old age.
Right. So where you going with this next pick? Give me another. Who's another dirt cheap guy? You got to get your second catcher here, right? Or are you going to wait until the last pick?
I was going to wait till the last pick, but that's not really that. No, it's not exciting. I'll just take Jonah Heim. He'll get at bats. He'll be whatever.
That's not really that exciting either.
No, it's not. But it's more exciting around 31 than around 32.
Is it though? Or do you have somebody? You're looking at for round 32 that you're like, this is going to be the guy.
I have a couple in there that I'd be okay with. And if they're not taken beforehand, I'll kind of drop them at the end. So there's a couple. And the interesting,
know where I'm going.
What's interesting here is like, I know there's not great closers available, but like at this point in like non-best ball drafts, you're never going to find like people who are actually closing this late in drafts.
And yet you are, because I'm looking at a guy right now who is going to likely start the season as the closer. Mm-hmm. And now the question is, unless of course the team signs somebody, but there are two guys out there now. I'm looking at two guys who just have that capability, that possibility of being the guy.
Yeah, I mean they're available now, but like I can tell you, like if you're looking at like Joe Barlow in Texas, like in the TGFBI, he's already gone in my league.
Oh yeah. Well, that's Barlow's one of the names I was looking at. Lou Trevino is another guy who is going to start the season as a closer. You could even go down. We'll see what happens with the Cubs, but Rowan Wick is actually penciled in as their closer too. So, where am I going to go? Oh, I like this dude. I like Cole Irvin.
Yan Gomes is there. Oh, okay. Cole Irvin.
Yeah, did you say Yan Gomes? I'm not going Yan Gomes.
I mean, another catcher can't hurt.
Can it though? Maybe it does. I mean, who's out there? There's nobody I want.
So it looks like, just doing a quick scan here, it looks like Impemba's got 3, even though Stevenson's probably going to be his first baseman. It looks like we have Ray Kuhn with 3. We have, Ron Regney has 4.
Ugh, why would you want 4 catchers?
Well, I mean,
he can use Varsho.
Good.
Varsho can move to the outfield.
Right.
Because he's only got 4 outfielders right there.
Let's see. Britt Flynn has a legit 3. Yeah. I have 2-ish.
2-ish.
I got one good one.
All right. I got 2. I'll leave it at that. I'm okay. I'm still bent out of shape on this first base situation.
Yeah. I mean, there's some upside there. Hopefully it works out for you. Not like works out like second place works out for you. Or third. Third would be okay.
All right. So as we're winding down here we go. Getting ready to go into the final round. I know Mpemba's like, thank God, right? I mean, I didn't realize this was gonna take this long, right? We're on 2.5 hours here.
Yeah. When I saw it was 32 rounds with 12 teams, I was like, yeah, we're in it for at least 2.
We're in it for the long haul here. We are in it for the long haul. But listen, that's what we want to do. We want to bring you guys through this entire draft. And like Kobe said, we're going to be doing these through, from now until the season starts, right? We're going to be doing some best balls here live, talk about the player pool. We're going to start, we're going to continue talking strategy, late round picks. And, like Kobe said, when you start looking at these late rounds and you start looking at the players who people are on or not on is very, very telling, right? Like you said, go and mix it up in the early rounds, diversify with your picks in the early rounds. But when it comes to those late rounds, if you've got your guys, you stand by them, you use them.
And those are your guys. Those are the ones you're going to live and die on. And if you've done kind of your research or you've listened to people that you trust and that's someone that you want, those are the people you want to be in on. Like early on, if you're unsure, you're splitting hairs between Fernando Tatis Jr. and Trey Turner. You're splitting hairs. Go ahead and split your ownership between them 50-50. But when you get later on, or even the mid rounds with us, if you believe Logan Gilbert is that guy that takes that jump, you push him up and you set the minimum pick like I did in TGFBI, or you take him right before me like Howard did here in this draft. So those are the people that you're really hanging your hat on. Yes, early on, you want to hit on those early guys between the Trey Turners and the Fernando Tatis. But honestly, even for them, a down year is still going to be incredibly impressive. It's those guys in the middle rounds that can really set you apart. So does Logan Gilbert make that jump? Does Lucas Sims immerse himself as the undoubted closer in Cincinnati? If you truly believe that'll happen, you push them up. That's the hill that you're going to choose to die on. And you're either be very profitable or, you learn a good lesson for 2023
for the next time,
for the next best ball draft that you're in next year. So
next week. All right. Last pick coming up here. Which way do I go? Well, I'll tell you what, because here we are in round 32 and we are at the tail end and there's nobody who's really turning my head too much. I can have a little fun with it and say, you know what? Here I'm going to take my cousin Tony. Cousin Tony, Anthony Bender. How you doing?
Let's see. Well, there's no Conways. There's no Mpembas.
I'm getting a message from Mpemba who just said he didn't draft a second baseman.
Oh.
Did he really just... Does Mondesi not quit?
No,
he's got short.
He's got Luis Urias.
Oh, yeah.
He got another Milwaukee bat.
He got Urias. Yeah. He got Urias. What are you crying about? What are you crying about, John? Stupid crybaby. I'm going to type that. Stupid cry baby.
All right. So we got my last pick here. So a couple guys that are intriguing. Willie Calhoun. Could be a Texas DH guy, decent pop. Seth Beer, I don't like him for best ball because he's stuck at utility, but he should be a good. Bradley Zimmer can be power speed guy, but when you have 10 outfielders, it's probably not your best investment. Looking at it there's a couple first basemen that wouldn't be bad for this team overall. Brian Anderson would be decent for steals. Oh boy, it gets a little rough down here. I've talked myself into some of these people, and then as I'm doing it, I've talked myself out of it.
I feel like you've talked yourself out of it more than you've talked yourself into it.
Yeah, I think another outfielder probably couldn't hurt. Actually, yeah. Victor Robles is interesting as well if he can figure out the form from past years. I'm going to go ahead and take Bradley Zimmer.
Oh, Bradley Zimmer. Oh, and Pemba's showing me now that Urias is only at second base and that he only at shortstop. And it says that his roster tally has no second baseman. You know, somebody will pick that up in the middle of the season there, John. You'll get your eligibility at some point. Or if not, thank you so much for your donation. We really appreciate it. Colby and I will be very happy to split your money.
Doesn't Gavin Lux get second base?
Oh,
He's showing shortstop, but I think he gets.
We'll see.
Who knows? Actually, you know what? I don't care. It's not my
team. Right? It didn't happen to my team.
Actually, it does. It does say Gavin Lux second base / shortstop. I don't know why it's putting him at shortstop. So I guess Impemba's entry fee is not just a donation anymore.
You know what? I'm looking at Impemba's team. It's a donation. All right. Well, here we go. We got 2 picks left in this draft, Ani and Britt Flynn. So I guess we can kind of wrap things up here tonight. Colby, an absolute pleasure to get and sit and hang out with you here for such an extended period of time. And let's do some more of these. We'll do another live stream next week. We'll figure out what day works best for us, and we can kind of keep this going until the rest of the season starts.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we'll also look to get some slow drafts to kind of fill the drafting void that we'll have until the next live stream. So keep an eye out for all of that.
Keep an eye out for all of that. And again, stay tuned to fantasyalarm.com. We got you all covered there for all your needs, whether it's draft guide, cheat sheet, Discord, all of the above there. You don't want to miss out. We'll take care of it. But in the meantime, here, 32 rounds in the book. And I've had 3 energy drinks in me, so I got to go pee like nobody's business. That's going to do it for us here on the Fantasy Alarm Best Ball live stream. Colby, always a pleasure. For Colby Conway, big thanks to John Impemba for producing. I'm Howard Bender, and you guessed it. We'll catch you next time.